I first fell in love with theater when I was, 5, because it started when I watched the movie Grease, and I know that's a movie, but that brought me into the musical theater world, and my first show was, The Wizard of Oz. In The Wizard of Oz in 6th grade, they had a drama program, and I just had to be a part of it, and when I got Dorothy, had my little red ruby slippers, I knew I wanted to be a part of theater forever. I like to be a part of theater because it allows me to be a storyteller. And I think every art form should have a component of storytelling, but theater is quite literally telling a story live in person, which I think is far more exciting than seeing, well, I love movies, but far more exciting than just watching a screen. I like to be live and in person and see the audience's reactions and hear them and feel that energy. I think that's such a special part of what makes theater theater. I love theater for that reason.
I got obsessed with theater when I was 3 years old. We were going to see my oldest brother in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown at our local theater company, and he was amazing. It was the first time I had ever seen a staged show, and he kind of just lit that flame for me, and he's done that with so many things, like music and, enjoying, like, animals and different kinds of food. I know that's silly, but I really wanted to be a lot like my oldest brother. And he's been an inspiration for me for so long, and I don't know, he's just kind of like my driving force. I always think about him whenever I get into a show, and it's just really cool that my oldest brother is just so cool. I feel like I have to be in theater because my brother has since stopped doing theater to focus more on his career, and I completely respect him for that, but I don't think I would respect myself if I stopped with him. And I had just enjoyed it and enjoyed it and enjoyed it and have really fallen in love with it. And when he stopped doing it, I was like, okay, I need to keep doing it because I don't, you wouldn't be happy if I stopped with you. And he was like, yep, I agree with you. So since then, it's been my whole life. It's the best thing I've ever done with my life, really.
When I was about 8 years old, 9 years old, my dad did a secret Christmas gift for us all and took us all to Barnum. And we saw the national tour, had Glenn Close in it, and all these people, there were circuses and music everywhere. It was at the Pantages Theater. And I just fell in love with the whole spectacle of it and the idea of going up and creating a character to become and live their life. In particular, I was drawn to the character Joyce Heth. She has this great number, Thank God I'm Old, and it just looked like so much fun. And then fast forward, at home, we had a bootleg copy of one of the tours of Pippin with Ben Vereen and William Catt. My sister and I, we wore out that tape. We just fell in love with that, and also watching Jesus Christ Superstar, the movie of that, and then listening to the Broadway album, which my mom would sing to us. And I remember being in the backyard roller skating and singing Hosanna, hey, Zanna, 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 Hosanna on roller skates in the backyard. And just the whole thing, I can't remember a time when I wasn't immersed in theater and having that world around. And I, of course, went through all cycles of all different shows, and it's just always been a recurring passion of mine, and I just really love it. Theater is a unique experience. I think because it's a heightened experience of the human condition. You have moments that everyone goes through in their life. They have the sadness, the joy, and you get the vicarious experience of reliving that and learning from the characters on how they deal with various obstacles and emotional journeys in their life. And I just think it's almost a sacred connection that you have with the audience when you show them that, yes, even the most evil character has an emotional journey, and you see different parts of different people that you might not necessarily ever meet in real life, and you see that they are indeed human as well, and you just you get to share that journey with people and connect with them.
I first fell in love with theater. I'm the youngest child, so all my older siblings did theater in high school, and so I used to just sit through all their rehearsals and everything. And then one day I was just like, told my family I wanted to audition, and they were like, "Oh, you can sing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think I can." And so, yeah, so then I just started doing that. And then my main love started, I think, like 13. My mom took me to Broadway for the first time to see shows. And yeah, and then so I just loved it ever since.
So I fell in love with theater, I mean, pretty much since the beginning. I grew up on the Phantom of the Opera DVD, and I watched that movie probably 500,000 times when I was very young. Not a great movie for a child, but I just fell in love with theater from the start, and I feel like it had to be a part of my life just because it really felt wrong for it not to be a part of my life. And even in elementary school, I did shows, and it felt like something I had to do for the rest of my life. So what connected with my heart in the theater world is just getting to entertain people and getting to make people laugh, make people cry. I love the audience connection with that. And I think with Funny Bonz specifically, there's a lot more back and forth between the audience. I get to play a lot more, and it's something I really enjoy doing. I just really like connecting with the audience on a deeper level.
Well, I fell in love with theater at a really young age. I was really raised in it. You know, my father, he had a degree in theater. He has his own company. My mom loves puppets. I'm pretty sure they met through theater as well, actually. I am a by proxy Fresnan. They met at the Roosevelt School for acting down there. I guess up there, technically. And I am a part of that. And I felt like I had to stick around because I see the impact theater makes in everyone, you know? So I was raised up with knowing all of these musicals in my head, listening to all of them on CD, but not quite having enough money to actually see things at the Pantages. So I got my feet wet when I actually got to be in shows. I went to the Orange County School of the Arts growing up, and once I got a taste for it, I haven't been able to let it go.
I fell in love with theater at a very young age. My mother used to do PTA shows, and she would rewrite all the lyrics, and that's kind of also where I got my inspiration for doing sketch comedy, because she would write these hilarious lyrics to songs that we all knew and loved. And she started getting me on stage when I was about 5. I actually did a tap dance to Hello Dolly with my girlfriend at the time. And after that, she recognized how much I loved it, and she took me to my first big audition when I was 8, where I discovered a group called Junior University, which is the children's theater I grew up in. And I learned so much from being in this group, and I stayed with them until I was 17. And then I moved on and did other theater ventures that made me love it even more, with Citrus Singers, the Young Americans, Cal State Fullerton. I was a musical theater major. And then I just had a career in theater after that, mostly as a dancer at first.
The theater experience is a very unique experience, not only for the actors, but for the theater goers as well, the patrons. For actors, being on stage, you get one shot to get it right, basically. Anything goes wrong, it goes wrong. You can't take it back, you can't erase it, you can't refilm it. You just kind of have to go with it and adjust accordingly. But the cool, which is actually a cool thing, can be, but the really cool thing about it is that you're in front of a live group of people that want to be there watching you, and you feed off the energy of that, and you feed off the energy of your co-stars, and it's really a cool and unique thing. I know I keep using the word cool, but it is cool to be able to do that in front of a group of people and get the immediate gratification of their applause, of their laughter, of seeing somebody crying in the audience over a dramatic scene. And then for the theater goer, it's unique for the same reason, that you're sitting there watching a group of actors who get one shot to get it right, so you could be there to see some mishaps on stage, but you get that raw and live emotion and energy from the actors. And if you're sitting in your living room watching a TV show and you applaud something that you think is great, well, who cares? Nobody's going to hear that. I mean, it may make you feel better to applaud, but to be able to respond in whatever way is appropriate at that moment in a live theatrical performance, you're feeding to the energy of those actors on stage, and it's a reciprocal thing between actors and patrons, in that you're there for each other, which is kind of a cool thing. So it is definitely a unique experience to be on either side of the stage in a theatrical endeavor. Before I came up with the idea to start a theater company of my own, I had probably about a 30-year run as a singer, dancer, actor myself. So a lot of experience on stage, backstage. And I thought it was time for me to kind of turn the tables a little bit and start a theater company of my very own, where I could create a platform for other artists to shine, to give a place for people to do shows and bring the creative teams together and be on that side of the table. And what a gratifying move that was, because there's nothing like being able to assemble a team of creative minds and talented people and put them together and create art. And then to bring that art to the Southern California community, where I basically grew up and have lived majority of my life, to bring this art into the local communities is really, really an amazing thing. And it's a choice I made in my life that I will never regret. As I've mentioned, P3 Theater Company has offered a fantastic platform for creative minds, for creative teams, for performers, for all different types of talent in all walks of theater. It's offered them an opportunity to explore their craft. P3 is more than just that. Yes, we've been able to, as according to our mission, been able to offer paid employment opportunities to creatives, but we have explored humanistic truth through creative works of art. We've explored the diversity that's in our surrounding communities, and it's been such a thrill to be able to be a part of that and to really, really watch that grow. P3 Theater Company, while many theater companies are alike in many, many ways, each one of us is unique in its own special way. And I like to say that probably one of the things that makes us the most unique is our involvement in our surrounding communities, working with and partnering with other nonprofit organizations that have outreach programs to reach out to those less fortunate that may have difficulties going to the theater or may have other challenges in life, and bringing the art form to them through our educational programming of P3 Educates, where we bring unique custom-made workshops that reach out to different types of communities, and just our involvement in the community. And we always try to select works to put on our stages that, yes, we'll bring the popular show like Evita or Steel Magnolias, but we'll bring thought-provoking works that explore different walks of life, such as Love, Valor, Compassion, which is a Tony Award-winning play that explores the LGBT community in the 90s, in the early 90s, and talks about the AIDS crisis. We have shows coming up in our upcoming season that touch on a lot of different maybe mental health challenges and things like that. So we like to bring relatable works and keep that connection with our community, which basically our community is the reason we're here. So we're very grateful for that, and very, very excited about seeing how we can continue to grow that connection to the community and further explore our mission. When I was in the beginning stages of developing P3 Theater Company, I really wanted to make sure that anybody employed or that worked with P3 Theater Company as a volunteer or whatever, in whatever aspect, that they had a great experience. So what I was very careful to do was to take all of my experiences in theater over a 30-year period and pull out the best experiences that I had with different theater companies on cruise ships, tours, whatever it was. It didn't matter. I wanted to remember and pull all of those best experiences that I had in working with that particular company or a particular show. And I tried to take all of that and make all of that into P3 Theater Company. I like to think that is working. And I say that because we have some actors and creatives who have been with us since our conception. I have an actor who started in the ensemble of our inaugural production of Evita, who is now the assistant to the executive director, on top of still being cast in shows because of his talent level. Ultimately, I like P3 to feel like one big family. That's really important because, yes, there's the business side of any business, and including theater. That's why they call it show business. So there are those business choices and decisions we have to make, but people aren't just a number when they come here. We're not just another theater, another gig. While, yes, we technically may be, but when people are here and working with us, I want them to feel like they belong, like they are wanted here. And they are, of course, because I wouldn't hire anybody I didn't want. What it comes down to. And we keep that in mind when we are hiring creatives and casting the show. We're not going to cast you just for your talent. Yes, your talent will certainly get you a second look. But people give off a vibe and they behave in certain ways. And we want to make sure that everybody fits that mold of being part of a family. And then theater-going audiences get a unique experience with P3 in that we pay very, very close attention to production values. Every person we've had on our stage has been extremely talented. We hire only the best of our creative team: directors, choreographers, musical directors, costume designers, prop designers, set designers, sound designers. Every single one of those pieces is crucial to the outcome of a production. And I like to think that we pay very close attention to that, so the audience always walks away having seen a superb production. And I'm proud to say that we've got a remarkable team of people. And even from the bottom to the top. There is no bottom, there is no top. Everybody is treated with the same respect and the same love, and that shows when we put on a show. So the cast members and the technicians feel it, the audience feels it. When you call our box office, you're remembered by name. Our box office staff remembers the people's names, and they will greet you by name when you come to the theater and make you feel like you're part of the family too. It's because you are. It sounds cheesy, really, but it's not. It's just the way it is. And there's no experience like it.
So when I first fell in love with sketch comedy, it was the doings of Saturday Night Live and Key and Peele, Monty Python. My dad and my older brothers are really obsessed with anything comedy, so that's kind of a lot of what we all watch together. It's just anything that's funny, anything that is just the most outrageously weird thing we just like to watch together. And when I found out about Saturday Night Live, I also found out about a rendition of one of my favorite plays, which I didn't know about back then, but I love it now. It's called Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot, and it starred Robin Williams and Steve Martin. And it's this really weird, existential, play where it can really go any kind of way, but they took it in, a strictly, comedic route, and it was amazing. It just felt like a completely different piece. And it kind of made me realize that sketch comedy isn't just like laughs and like just getting someone to laugh. It's like you have these deep characters and they're like rich and like you fall in love with them even before they say something. And it's that one thing you notice about them that I think is truly intriguing. And there are so many characters in sketch comedy that have been created over the years, and they all have like that one specific thing that is quirky about them that just happens on just because it's their character. It's who they are. And these characters are more real than just being written for a page, written for the screen. You can really fall in love with the rich characters because they're awesome, they're hilarious, but they're like truly funny, not just trying to get a laugh. They're like genuinely funny.
I fell in love with sketch comedy and theater from watching old clips of the Judy Garland show and Laugh-In and all those early type of shows that they had during the 50s and 60s. And I'm watching, old black and white clips. I gravitate towards historical things. I love Marx Brothers. And those type of things where you just briefly come in and you create a world and you just go with it. And it's very improvisational and you get to just enjoy the journey and share the journey with your audience. And it's just a unique thing that doesn't really ever happen anywhere else. In a narrative show, yes, you have the arcs of the characters and things, but there's a spontaneity and a spark of life to it that is nowhere else in any other type of theater or show.
My brother always watched sketch comedy. He loved SCTV. So my family watched that all the time. We watched the Christmas special every Christmas, stuff like that. So it kind of got ingrained in there.
So I definitely fell in love with sketch comedy, probably like most people, through SNL. I grew up on SNL. Me and my dad would get together every Saturday and we'd watch it. And it's something I've always wanted to do, but I've never had the opportunity to do. And once I was offered to be in Funny Bonz, I definitely kind of became a little more obsessed with it. I would say I'm looking forward to more opportunities to do this in the future, as well as Funny Bonz.
Well, I fell in love with sketch comedy. I really think through some amazing actresses. I love Lucy. I know a lot of us do. It's almost like that was the name of her show. Bette Midler, also a big idol for me. And of course, like many people, sneaking into the living room when I really wasn't supposed to and watching SNL. And ever since really getting to watch it, I wanted to have it as well. I felt like I was going to be okay at it.
I fell in love with sketch comedy, realizing that you could create lyrics. I've always been a fan of changing lyrics. I think it might date back to Mad Magazine, maybe when I was a kid, which I used to get in my stocking every Christmas. And I just love the idea of taking a song that people know and changing the lyrics to make it a funny parody of some sort. And sketch comedy has just always been great to me. I love Saturday Night Live. I love everything about sketch comedy. It's different from improv. It's very different.
I fell in love with sketch comedy probably when I was like in 8th grade when I started theater. I was never really good at improv, and in fact, I regretted joining the improv club, but I did my best with it. But I really enjoyed sketch comedy because it tells little parts of a story in a humorous way, and it's so unexpected, which I think is what made me fall in love with it when I was younger. And I would watch like SNL and get really into everything that was going on there, and especially YouTube was pretty popular, and people were doing a lot of short little skits on YouTube, sketch comedy skits, which I thought were really, really fun. So I became obsessed with the humorous side of things. Though I love drama, I think the humor in sketch comedy is really what drives it home. I think laughing is the best medicine for anything. So if I can laugh at something, as dark as it may be, I tend to enjoy that part of the sketch comedy.
I first fell in love with sketch comedy back in 2005. I was cast in a show called Laughing Matters, which was a musical sketch comedy review show, much like Funny Bonz. And it was really cool because I got to be in the inaugural cast of this show that ran for 9 years. And I got the full treatment with the 2 weeks of rehearsals, solid like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday type thing with the director. And it was kind of, we were workshopping it and just getting to be involved in watching the process unfold with all of this really funny material that was a parody and satire on current events and all that type of thing. And at that point, having only done musical theater comedy or comedy on stage in a regular theatrical show, sketch comedy is a different style. It's a little more tongue-in-cheek, and it's kind of a little more relevant when the topics are topical. And that love for sketch comedy turned into an obsession over the 1.5 to 2 years that I worked with this show, because we put new material in it, we had new actors come into the mix from time to time, and it just was a lot of fun. You get a different response from your live audiences than you do from musical comedy like Oklahoma or any of those funny shows. It's a whole different thing. It's a lot more personal. There's that thing that's called the fourth wall, which you're not supposed to break in musicals and in plays. And that fourth wall is the wall that is between you and the audience. You get to, you can have that type of interaction where you look at them in the eye and you're like, a hyuk, kind of a thing. And just I was obsessed with it. I mean, I've been kind of, my life has become a sketch comedy because it's so much fun. I'm always the funny guy, so finding this niche in sketch comedy has been really a treat.
Sketch comedy is a unique format for me because it will give me a variety of ways to use my talents to share experiences with the audience. With this particular type of show, we sing, we dance, we do comedic moments interspersed with some drama, and it gives a whole lot of color and shading to what we share with the audience. And we just are able to shape the whole experience with different elements of life to bring it to fruition for everybody in the audience to share. And I think that's very important for people to experience because you don't necessarily get that in day-to-day life.
I think sketch comedy is more unique. It's because it never has to be close to the same. I mean, the words, everything's always changing to go with the modern times, so it's never quite going to go the same way.
I think sketch comedy is unique for theater specifically because you get a connection with the audience you don't necessarily get otherwise. In sketch comedy, you can, pause for laughs. You can kind of ad-lib more, and it's more encouraged to just go with your gut and take risks and do something weird and crazy. And a lot of the times it pays off, and sometimes it doesn't. But, that's how you learn, and I think there's a learning curve to it, and it's a little different than just a straight-up play or musical.
Sketch comedy, I love sketch comedy because it plays off of improv. It's this idea of coming up with things on the fly, kind of trusting your gut. I feel like, especially with the world today, a lot of our communication is pre-planned, so being able to shred all that off and just say what's on your mind is really fun. And, with Funny Bonz, the idea is that it's sung about as well, so that extra step in that improv and singing aspects of it all.
Well, sketch comedy in comparison to improv is also a love of mine. I did it at Disney for many, many years. But improv, you're basically flying from the seat of your pants. You're making up stuff off the top of your head, usually taking suggestions from the audience, which we could do in sketch comedy. But with Funny Bonz, it's more of a set format as far as the sketch comedy is rehearsed, and then we can go off from there if we need to, but it is a show that is rehearsed and is planned as far as the comedy goes.
I think sketch comedy is an interesting format because it's like seeing into a bunch of different worlds rather than seeing the whole picture, which I think is quite fun because it keeps you on your toes. It's like when you're scrolling and you're looking at Reels or TikToks or whatever it is, each piece is kind of its own moment. And I think sketch comedy is a lot like that, where you kind of open the door to a room, see what's in there, oh, it's funny, and then we close and we can move on to another room. I think that just gives a whole new meaning to how far you can go with something, because you can always change it. It can always be interesting. It can always be new. So that format to me is just lively. It just keeps you on your toes. I love that part of it.
Sketch comedy is such a unique format to me, in my opinion, because it's these really fun, quirky characters, and they're just kind of being themselves on stage. Like, they're not like a real person that you're just kind of like, oh, hi, how's it going today? You're this like heightened, more exaggerated, like, hi, how's it going today? You make it big because the characters are big. So in sketch comedy, like all theater, you spend time on the characters, but I think in sketch comedy, you spend so much more time figuring out why this character is so funny to you. What do you think is going to make other people laugh about this character? And you see a lot of these people, plus like my fellow cast members, who just like dive into it and like really do the work. And they come out with like these really just amazing characters that they can just say one thing and it's like, I need more of that character. I need like a sitcom of just that character. And I think with plays and musicals, you can fall in love with those characters, but with sketch comedy, they make you laugh. And when someone makes you laugh, when you think something is funny, you're going to keep wanting more of that thing. Like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, that's my favorite sitcom. I always want more, even though it's ended. I find something new in an episode, and they're so funny. They're just so funny, and that's the most important not really the most important thing, but one of the most important things is that they're not necessarily like funny, but they make you laugh.
Sketch comedy is a unique format in that it's not, like I've mentioned, your regular musical comedy. It's not improvisational comedy because typically sketch comedy is scripted, but it is. In a musical comedy or in a play that's a comedy, there's a story. There are characters going on. There's a storyline that goes through the entire production. Improv is where you're kind of doing things on the fly. You know, you're coming up with things that aren't scripted and developing a story in front of a live audience or developing a skit or whatever it is. And in sketch comedy, it's kind of it's a little more. It touches on things that are, at least in this particular sketch comedy review, it touches on things that are happening in the here and now, but it is a very tongue-in-cheek look at it. You're a character, but you're not playing a character necessarily through a 2-hour play. It's almost more like a caricature of whatever the topic of that individual skit or musical song is. And you are making that connection with the audiences as opposed to when you're in a play or musical. You're again just telling this story, this plot. But the sketch comedy is a lot more tongue-in-cheek, if you will.
So my process for creating a character in a skit is usually I will, since we're a musical-based sketch comedy, the song comes first. I'll get that in my brain. I'll sear it in there. And as soon as I have that song, then I go from there. I always like building it off of a caricature just because I think a lot of comedy stems from just like very basic identifiable traits. So just taking something to its absolute extreme is my first step. And then from there, I'll usually just find something that works for me, and then I can just play with it as much as I'd like.
What's lovely about it is we kind of get an idea of what our characters are going to be from the show based off of the songs that we're singing. So we're building a character around this kind of musical aspect of it all, If we're complaining about Botox, the character is going to come off with a very pallid expression, which is something I have to work on because I'm a very expressive person. I think that's a part of the comedy of it all.
How do we create skits? Well, John and I get together usually, and we'll go out to a restaurant and we'll talk about what would be funny, and we just get various ideas. As you're living your daily life in entertainment, as I do every day, you might hear a song, that would work well for this, or John will send me a link to a song and say, what do you think about this for our show? Our show is a little irreverent. It's a little, not for not for everyone, but it is funny. It is very, very funny. You just have to come in with an open mind and go with it because we love what we do, and I think that shows to the audience.
My process for creating a character in a sketch comedy skit is first starting with what makes this character unique and what does this character want throughout this entire moment. Wants and desires keep it interesting. It keeps us wanting to know what the character's about. So if I'm, driving the 405, that's a song in the show, and I just really want to make it on the 405, get to my job, get to my next location, make it there safely, not worry about all the people on the road. And when I know that, my intense desire to have that makes it really, really fun to play a character that's so in control of the road that she even, well, I won't give away secrets, but it's really, really fun to play because I know what the character wants. And that keeps each character unique. And it also, what are their flaws, I think is really fun questions to ask, because if I know that a character, like a character from Surabaya Santa, which I did during the holiday shows, she really, really wants Mr. Claus, her husband, to pay more attention to her and be around her and fall in love with her all over again. But her flaws, I think, as a character is she can be a little nagging and she can yell at him a lot and she can be quite brisk and short with him when she's not happy. So using those flaws, using their desires, putting that together really creates some different, unique, fun characters to play, I think.
When I'm creating a character in sketch comedy, I'm going to take Funny Bonz as an example. I was given the material. I'm going to use the Sarah Palin song. And I was reading those lyrics and I was like, okay, this kid is nerdy, but I gotta make him more than a nerd because there are so many nerds. What I always experiment with is a different dialect or voice with reading the material. And for that one, for some reason, the one that stuck was like a Bostonian, like a Boston kind of dialect. And I don't know, that one made me laugh. And just along with like the really like awkward, like just standing there in the corner and I'm in love with Sarah Palin. Like it was when I think something is funny, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see if I can expand on that and see if other people can laugh.
I start with asking, first of all, what does the character want and what happened right before you walk into the scene. So when I'm creating a character, I will start at the very basics, where who is the person, what do they want, and how are they going to get it. If you don't know what you want in the scene, you can't do anything else, and you're certainly not going to have an authentic emotional experience. So I try to start from that point and then ask myself what it is about this character that makes them tick, and how would they react in these circumstances so that it's authentic for the audience. Hi, my name is Kelly George, and I'm a cast member of the Funny Bonz with P3 Theater. And I would like to invite you to come experience our show. We have magic to share and experiences to share and love to share with the audience. We would like to invite you to come and share in this too and bring us your magic. So come on down, come join P3 Theater and Funny Bonz, and let's go have a good time together. Come on.
Sketch comedy is good for the soul because, age-old adage, laughter is the best medicine. And I think after 2020, I think we all kind of know that. We all experience that. You don't really feel like yourself if you're not laughing. So being in a place where you can see people and have them be the spark of that laughter is good for the soul.
Sketch comedy is good for the soul, especially in today's world, because I feel like everybody needs to laugh, and I think we're all in the same boat there. We went through a rough couple of years together. It's not even entirely better yet. We're not out of the woods yet, but with every laugh, with every successful performance, with every theater company that survives, that's a plus in the arts world. And arts are so important to us, to even for the mere fact of taking us away from the world. So if you can take yourself away from the craziness and the zaniness of this world and everything it throws on you day after day and laugh a little bit with some strangers in an audience, that's healthy in my book.
Sketch comedy is good for the soul because I think we all need a break from too much seriousness of life. I think when you can break it up and, again, join these different worlds just for a moment, laugh with them, be there with them, it just creates a different sort of joy. And it's a unique joy because it's so fleeting and so quick. But I would say it goes beyond something I kind of coined. Maybe someone else coined it, but I call it like fast food comedy. I think we're all kind of obsessed with that today because it's very quick that we can get a laugh in like less than 6 seconds. But I think sketch comedy pulls from that idea, expands upon it, and then creates some real effort to make it just more important. It becomes way more important than a 6-second clip because it's, a 4-minute scene or a 4-minute sketch moment. Like, I think that part of it is what makes it unique, fun, engaging, but also just a little bit more advanced than, the TikTok, I would say.
Sketch comedy is good for the soul because everything's a joke. Everything's a joke. Everything is joked about in sketch comedy. Not necessarily like everyone is joked about, but situations are joked about and are kind of made a little more lighthearted or heavy-hearted humor, like all of the COVID-19 things that have been happening and the lockdown. We all roasted the lockdown. Like, each of us individually was like, the lockdown sucks. You're so terrible, lockdown. They were more vulgar than that, but I think in sketch comedy, everyone laughs. There's something for everyone. And you watch something, you're like, oh, I didn't like that thing. But then the very next bit is something that you did like. And it makes you want to try that thing again. And keep going on that. And then eventually maybe you'll find something that you like about it. Something else that you like about it. You can always give sketch comedy a try.
Because it makes you laugh. Sketch comedy is wonderful for the soul because it makes you laugh. There isn't enough time in our day-to-day lives where we just genuinely get to enjoy things. And being a part of that and being able to come up with situations or scenes on the fly and just have a spontaneous creative journey is wonderful. And you just get a chance to pick things from the air and come and bring it to life in front of an audience, and no show is ever the same. So everyone makes different choices each time we come in. So every time you come, you get a different experience. And I just love that ability to just create on the fly.
Sketch comedy is good for the soul because it just makes you laugh and brings you happiness, and laughter is great for the soul.
I think sketch comedy is good for the soul, specifically because not only is it just comedy, not only are you getting your laughs in, which I think is so important to laugh, but also sketch comedy, again, there is this connection between the actor and the audience that is not necessarily there in normal theater, where the actor is playing around with the audience and using the audience to gauge how their own performance goes. So not only is there that relationship that I think is really special, I also think that sketch comedy just allows a moment for the audience to really be a part of the theater, and they can influence the way the show goes.
Sketch comedy is good for the soul because it is basically a satirical or a parodical, is that a word? parodical parody look at life. You take these real events in life that happen. Say you trip over something on the sidewalk that's really not there. That's something we've all done. You could write a song about that. And then somebody will sing this song in front of an audience, and everybody in the audience will be able to relate to something like that. And it's a humorous look at it, and it really, because we can relate to it, and because it's funny, it makes you laugh. And we all know that laughter is the best medicine for sure. So for sure, being able to laugh at anything in the world, I mean, even things that are maybe not funny, if you can take a look at it from a humorous perspective, we're all going to be able to relate to that and relate to the topic and just maybe be a little less more stressed.
I heard about P3 Theater Company on the phone. John and I go way back, actually. We used to do theater at the Curtain Call Dinner Theater in Tustin together, and that's where I first met him. And we did a lot of musical theater together. And then John got this passion to carry on what he had started back in Florida with a group called Laughing Matters. And he had done a lot of dinner theater out there and regular theater as well. And he wanted to get that going in California. And so he called me, picked my brain, and said, do you want to be involved? And I actually directed their groundbreaking first debut production of Evita, which is where I first met you. And it was wildly successful. And then the year 2020 came, and we all know what happened there. But we've survived. P3 has survived. John has more passion than ever before, and we're moving forward.
It's a funny story, actually, how I heard about P3. I had first moved to LA a couple years ago, and this was pre-pandemic, and I had just auditioned for the Doris Day Show. So I heard about the Doris Day Show through P3 Theater on Facebook, ironically. They just kind of popped up, said they were holding auditions, and I auditioned. It was one of the first things I did in LA as an in-person audition, and I got a call back, and it was really, really fun. And I didn't get to go to the callback, secrets. I actually got an email on the drive to the callback for P3 Theater for the Doris Day Show that it had been cast. And I was like, great, fabulous. But I kind of knew that I would run into P3 again and I would see John again. So I just, kept looking at the page, see when they were holding auditions for other things. And then this came up, and it was the first show I auditioned for after the pandemic, the first in-person thing I auditioned for after the pandemic. I mean, it's still kind of going on, but after 2020. So that was really, really exciting. That first audition in person in LA, moved forward, pandemic, right after the pandemic slows down, first in-person audition again for P3 Theater. So it all just kind of worked out in a great, crazy way, and I get to be a part of this amazing show. So really, really happy I followed you guys on Facebook. Facebook is dying, but we are here, and we love Facebook for P3 Theater.
So I first heard about P3, I was just surfing through Backstage.com, and there was a posting that P3 had made for Terrence McNally's Love, Valor, Compassion, which was going to be done in Hermosa Beach. So I signed up for a slot. I picked out a character that I thought was really amazing, and I went in with the monologue provided, and I met John for the first time. I met Craig Turrell for the first time, both incredible human beings. That audition process, Craig Turrell has actually worked with my theater department chair, who I've worked very closely with, so he knew her by name. So that was very cool to audition for someone that my professor knew. And then going to that callback was really awesome. There was really not that many people there, but everyone that was there was so nice and so dedicated to not getting the part, but getting the text right. And it showed me that even just that one show, that one time that I had been there to audition, every single person was lifting each other up. And, we would go into the audition room, and John would lift us up, Craig would lift us up. And it was awesome. It was one of the best audition processes I've ever been a part of. So that opportunity did not work out for me. But because of that, now I don't know what John was thinking when he said this guy auditioned for a play. Let's see if he does musicals. So he just sent me an email right after I got an email about not getting cast in Love, Valor, Compassion, and he pretty much just said that he thought it would be really good for me, and that he thought I should audition. And I was like, well, that's amazing, and I was very touched and honored that he wanted to reach out and still try to get me involved. I auditioned for him. And I did a quick callback for him. He sent back saying I was in the cast, and I was so excited. There were a few kind of dark periods before then that I didn't really know if I was still going to be a part of theater anymore. I was really scared that I was just gonna throw it all away. But John Peterson, that man, the saint that he is, he's also insane with what he does, but in the best way possible. Sorry, going back to, I get to rehearsal with the full company. I'm the newest guy there, and they're all so nice. Just the same experience that I had at the Love, Valor, Compassion callback I was having in Funny Bonz rehearsal. That's when I knew. I was like, oh man, I gotta stay with this company. This is one of the most wholesome experiences in theater that I've ever had, and it came at a time that I really needed it.
First place I heard from a P3 theater was right from the very beginning. I knew John, who started the company prior to him founding the P3 Theater Company, and I was there right from the very beginning when he first started it and took that momentous step of taking the risk to even start a company, because so many companies, even with the pandemic, we've seen theaters just disappear because of various reasons and things. So it was a big risk for him, but I've been there from the very beginning of the journey, and I was fortunate to be able to help him in some small way when he was first starting out, and he had his first production, I believe, was Evita. And I know that was a big dream of his to bring that together, and I was awestruck to see all the nuts and bolts and the challenges that he had to overcome, and to watch it to grow from nothing into a real live production. It was pretty amazing to watch.
I heard about P3 Theater when they were first holding their auditions for Evita, which was their first show. And as John, I had worked with John before, so I came to audition, and then I've just been doing stuff ever since. I like P3 Theater because it's very like a family unit. They're a big family unit, and it's just so nice. And I know John puts so much passion and so much love into these projects.
So I first heard of P3 Theater Company in either 2018 or 2019, 2018 actually. So this was before their very first production of Evita, and I heard about it. I was doing a show with a good friend of John's, and he recommended that I audition for it. And what do you know? He ended up being the director of Evita. So when I got in that show, and the rest is history. I've just been with P3 since the beginning, and it's just been a wonderful ride.
I love P3 Theater Company. I met them right at the start. I was working with John before the inception of the company. And it's been lovely to watch it grow, watch Evita, and everything that has come after it. Really amazing shows and really amazing stuff. And I'm excited to be a part of that legacy, with Funny Bonz. I'm Hannah McMullen. I'm excited to be joining the cast of Funny Bonz, and I can't wait to see you there.
Seeing the audition notice for Funny Bonz was literally perfect, because I had made it my mission that if I was going to do another musical, another live theater show, I had to be genuinely interested in it. I have done a lot of shows, a lot of musicals that I've just been a part of for the sake of being in them. But I saw Funny Bonz and I said, this is an opportunity to do something new, to do something exciting, to perhaps be a part of something that's going to even get bigger than where it is now. I also wanted to be a part of P3 Theater, obviously, but seeing Funny Bonz, I said, this is what I've been looking for. I've been looking for something that I can try out some comedy stuff, work that out on stage, do some more sketch comedy things, because comedy is always fascinated me. It's always been a love of mine, and in fact, in musicals, that's my favorite part of musicals, is the comedic aspects to them. And I'm like, I want more of that. I don't want to do The Music Man for a millionth time. I know people love The Music Man, I'm sorry. But I didn't want to do it. I really wanted to do something new. So this was super exciting, funny, comedic, and new. That was what I was searching for, and I found it, which was awesome.
I heard about the P3 Funny Bonz group through here, of course, being involved with P3 Theater from the very beginning. So I've been following it for a while, and would see the promotions on the P3 website and hearing about it from John and some of the other people that I heard from it. And I just enjoyed it so much that, again, that spontaneity and the ability to create on the fly, it just looked like it was an amazing experience, and I just really wanted to be a part of it.
I heard about P3 Funny Bonz when they had done the COVID edition online, and but I couldn't audition or do anything then. And then I went to go see the Love Linda production at P3, and they were like, come and audition again. So they were holding for this, so I went in and I auditioned. I enjoy doing Funny Bonz because I've never done anything like that before. I mean, I'm generally very classically oriented or, straight things. And so, I mean, it's just fun, and it's been great for people to come out and see me do something that's completely out of my normal range of stuff. So it's great to just grow and do extra things. I usually don't do funny or anything like that.
So I heard of Funny Bonz. So this was all after the pandemic, and after everything started settling down, I thought, okay, well, now's the good time to get back into theater. I'm kind of itching to do it. And John approached me with an opportunity and said, hey, Funny Bonz, we have this new sketch comedy show, Funny Bonz, and I think you'd be really good in it. And I took the bait as soon as I saw it. It was something I knew I had to jump on because I knew I wouldn't regret it.
I heard about the Funny Bonz program, I think it started in 2020. We were all looking to see how theater was going to survive, and it was lovely to see P3 adapt in this way of this online kind of sketch comedy moment. They were doing a great campaign I was watching, and the fact that a lot of the shows were free to watch and free to stream so that people could have access to comedy when we needed it most. And I really wanted to be a part of it because I saw the impact it made in people's lives, that moment of shared laughter through a screen, and now that shared laughter on a stage.
Again, I heard from John, and when he first approached me, he wanted me to be in a summer version of it. My schedule, I do run a musical theater academy as well for youth, ages 4 to 18, and it keeps me pretty darn busy, and so my schedule isn't always fully available, but if somebody calls me and I want to do something, I do my best to make the time. He happened to call in the summer, and we did a Fringe Festival version of Funny Bonz, so I actually performed in the show first, and that was my initiation into Funny Bonz, and I kind of learned what it was all about and what John's vision was. And after that, he asked me to step up and help him with directing duties and the creation of skits and sketches, and we added more choreography to the numbers to make it a bigger venture than it was when we did it in the summer. But I had a blast doing it in the summer. I'm just not fully available to be in the show all the time.
What is Funny Bonz? I don't know. I ask myself that every day, and the answer changes. But I think today, my answer to that is Funny Bonz is just a joyous thrill ride of laughter, satire, crazy characters, and unforgettable songs, lyrics, and jokes.
What is our new Funny Bonz group about? Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is talent. We had an audition. We had many, many people come through, and we picked the best of the bunch. We feel like we have a good variety of people. We have a guy named Spencer, who is very experienced in sketch comedy. We also have people who are great singers and dancers, but are also very funny. Some of my ex-students, actually, from the Musical Theater of Orange County, County who were in Avita, they took the next step to join Funny Bonz as well. So they know me, they know the way I work, and I can collaborate with them on a level where they're very comfortable. So I think our group right now is extremely talented, and I think everybody should come out and see them so you can see it firsthand.
For those of you who've never heard of Funny Bonz, Funny Bonz is an amazing experience. It's a variety show full of songs, skits, vignettes, and laughter. And one of the best things that you can come and see is just the journey of how you have different spontaneous improvisational moments throughout the show, and it's just a genuinely good time. And you'll see a lot of amazing talent on there, and a lot of development of character that is just very fun to watch.
The uniqueness about Funny Bonz is, it's just a show, and it's all individual, like sketches, so it's not like a story or anything like that, but we sing, we dance, some of them are just acting, there's no singing involved. So it's just different, it's like a variety show.
So the new Funny Bonz group. So Funny Bonz has always been about, again, audience connection and just giving that laugh and giving that good dose of laughter medicine that everyone needs. But I think this new group of Funny Bonz is definitely encouraging like more variety, and we're trying a lot more new things than we were before. And we're also just seeing how like our bigger our family is getting, and it's just we're spreading more love, and I think it's just a really wonderful thing.
Funny Bonz is, I would explain it to the audience as, I think it's a beautiful, very blue moment of joy, right? We're all going to be in this beautiful theater space together, laughing. And it's a blue show. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, but laughing our asses off. And just having a good time while listening to some really amazing performers sing.
Funny Bonz is a sketch comedy live theater show that will surprise you around every corner, quite literally. Every song, every scene, every piece is its own thing, stands on its own, and it really does make you laugh. I laugh. I try not to laugh in the middle of some of the songs and scenes that really tickle my funny bones. I have to say it. I really do laugh during those moments, especially in rehearsals and everything. So being able to present them to an audience, show you guys what it's all about, how hard we've worked on it, and hear your guys' laughter really just makes it all worthwhile. It's such a fun show.
So as I've mentioned before, having worked with Laughing Matters, I developed this obsession with sketch comedy. And as the artistic director of P3 Theater Company, now presenting these Broadway class musicals and plays, I have a platform and an avenue in which I could bring this sketch comedy to our communities here locally. So having that opportunity now and a demographic out there in the Long Beach and South Bay areas that need laughter in their lives, I just had to recreate what Laughing Matters was in Florida and bring it to our audiences out here, and bring laughter and joy into what in this day and age could really be considered a really not so fun world. Back in March 2020, which is a month that will go down in the history books, generations to come will be reading about that, I'm sure. P3 Theater Company, as well as all other theater companies and many businesses across the world, shut down. Well, I don't sit still very well, and many people don't, so I decided to try to bring some things to our virtual audiences. And one of the things that being virtual allowed us the opportunity to do was to bring this concept of Laughing Matters, the musical sketch comedy review show, to virtual audiences and basically kind of try to see what the reaction would be. So what I did was I contacted some of the original cast members and the producers of Laughing Matters, who are now all living across the country, and we put a hybrid live and pre-recorded production of this new Funny Bonz concept. This is something we wouldn't have been able to do with these key players that brought Funny Bonz to the virtual stage, because we had cast members that lived in Fort Lauderdale, Dallas, Chicago, Orlando, Los Angeles. So we basically got all these people together with the different time zones. That was a lot of fun trying to work on scheduling all of our availability. But we created a virtual production of Funny Bonz, the Humerus Solution. And I believe that aired on April 10th, 2021. That was kind of neat, really exciting, a whole different experience as a live stage actor to be in front of a green screen doing these comedy skits with people from all over the country, but I'm here by myself in my living room. It was a really cool experience. It was well received. We had a small but mighty virtual audience, and the feedback we got was great. So when restrictions started to lift and we were able to go to a live theater space, I had heard of this small thing called the Hollywood Fringe Festival, which was going to be back in action in August of 2021. And I thought, well, let's cast this show locally and take it to the Hollywood Fringe stage, which the Hollywood Fringe is really a good platform and avenue for new works of theater to be brought into the public to really get a live and in-person feel without having to put in thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars into producing a show. So we took Funny Bonz, we cast it locally, got a fantastic cast. I want to say there were 6 of us, maybe 7, that brought it to the Hollywood Fringe stage. And we walked out of the Hollywood Fringe Festival with the prestigious awards of the Best Cabaret and Variety Show, as well as the Encore Award, the Producer's Encore Award, which meant we got to extend the production beyond the Fringe Festival for a couple of performances. So 2 big awards out of the Fringe Festival, our first Fringe Festival, brand new show, super excited. So as restrictions began to lift even further, we decided to, and I had to recast the show again because all of these actors that were magnificent were now getting work in shows and other venues, and which is great for everybody because theaters were starting to open up all over. So we held more auditions and cast the show again. And we tried to replicate the dinner theater style that Laughing Matters was at the Grand Event Center in Long Beach. We had some great audiences. We had some decent-sized crowds. The show was very well received. The audiences loved it. Great feedback. The challenge at that time is just adding the dinner theater aspect to it, basically the food aspect. It gets a little costly, and coming out of a pandemic, we decided to be a little more conservative moving forward to make sure that the show is sustainable for us as a theater company. So we took it out of the dinner theater element, and we brought it to our new home at the Second Story Theater in Hermosa Beach. And the audiences there are eating the show up. It is basically like you're going to a stand-up comedy show with a troupe of 7, 8, 9 actors and presenting a review show, a comedy review show. And we are now up to doing it on a monthly basis in Hermosa Beach, which is fantastic. So to date, we've done probably 4 or 5 performances of Funny Bonz at the Second Story Theater in Hermosa Beach. And each performance, our audience has been growing, and the reception has always been really, really fantastic. The laughs it's music to our soul as actors on the stage, and I know it's music to the people in the audience, literally music, because it's a musical comedy. But because of the success and the growing success of Funny Bonz, we are super excited to move into 2023 with some slight reimagining of the show, and I say that meaning that we're only doing things to improve the production values of the show and to enhance the experience of the patrons, to make it much more fun and exciting for the actors. And I'm going to give you a little sneak peek on what we've got coming for 2023. So, I had mentioned that my dear friend Jimmy Hippensteel and I were co-directing and co-choreographing, and I was musical directing the show up to now. Well, Jimmy is pretty much taking over as the director and choreographer of Funny Bonz, which I'm thrilled about. We have been using music tracks for all of our music up to date. Well, we are bringing on board our resident music director, Bill Wolf, who is going to be musical directing the show and playing the show live. So we will have a live accompanist, which this style show really needs a live musician, because sometimes you get audiences that find something completely hysterical, and you just got to hold the show and let them get their laughs out. You don't want to cut them off and cut off them enjoying that moment. So we're going to have a live piano player. Super excited about that. We are increasing our cast size. We have hired 2 new cast members, and we are still looking for a couple more because we're adding numbers to the show. We are pulling out some material from the show that maybe isn't quite as funny or wasn't quite. It gets laughs, but it's like ha 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 as opposed to ha 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 ha. But it's also good to keep the show fresh, because it does spoof current events, politics, celebrity mishaps, and those things always change. So we need more material, new material. So we've got new cast members. We have a resident director choreographer. We now have a musical director for the show. We have 5 or 6 new numbers that are coming in and offsetting some of the ones we pulled out. And we are actually enhancing the space in which we are performing the show. So the Second Story Theater is a really nice little proscenium stage. It seats a maximum of 80 people, but the stage size is kind of small. It's about 9 feet deep by 26 feet wide. So what we're doing for that will be revealed at our March first performance of 2023, which will be in March. We are building platforms to extend the playing area on stage. So it's going to extend each side of the stage by 8 feet, and 8 feet wide and 6 feet out. And we are building flats that will be placed up against the upstage stage wall and putting some type of design on it. So you're not just in there looking at a black wall in a regular old little theater. We're going to give Funny Bonz its own special little touch. So we are super excited about all of that. It's just going to make the production values even better. I mean, the talent is top notch. That you can't really get better than the talent we have on our stage. But to just enhance those little things that make it a unique experience for our audiences, we think are really going to just bring it into 2023. We have dates booked monthly all the way through the end of the year. I started out being conservative, but with ticket sales picking up, I thought we just need to carry this out. And if we don't rent this theater space for all these dates, we're going to lose those dates, and the audiences are going to miss out on the show.
The most important thing that I want the audience to get out of the Funny Bonz experience is joy. That's what we come for. We all have our trials and tribulations throughout daily life, and we all need a moment to really just enjoy the vitality of life and being able to share a happy moment with people. And if I can take a moment and reach out to the audience and make them laugh and forget their troubles for a little while, that is the most important thing. And I really think that if you do come to watch, that you're going to enjoy the journey and you're going to have a good time and you're going to leave with a lot of laughs.
Pretty much, I just want the audience always to be laughing. If they're not laughing, then we're not doing a very good job at our job. So, yeah, just to make them happy and light. And, you know, you go to the theater to forget about the world around you. And so that's what we hope.
I definitely want people to come out of Funny Bonz, not only obviously laughing, but I want people to, first of all, see how much frickin' work we're all putting into this show. And also, I really want people to have an appreciation for sketch comedy, because I feel like a lot of people's knowledge of sketch comedy stops at SNL, and most people don't really go beyond that. So I really want people to open up to it and be more receptive to it in general, I think.
I would love the audience to get a sense of excitement and joy and laughter from the Funny Bonz experience. You know, we're out there putting on our best show for you and excited for you to come and see it.
I want the audiences to laugh. I want them to let go. I want them to not give a care about anything in the world except for what they're seeing on stage. I want them to be non-judgmental. I want them to be accepting. I want them to keep an open mind. I want them to have fun. That's the most important thing. If you let yourself take the ride with our cast, you are going to have fun and you are going to laugh. Trust me.
I want the Funny Bonz live theater performances to remind our audience that live theater is still alive and well, and sketch comedy is not going anywhere. It's super accessible, and it's something that I think being in a room full of people to be a part of is so much more rewarding than, watching it on your own and alone in your room. I think it brings people together. I think it shows everyone that live entertainment is just so fabulous and it's so special. And I think everyone will take some of that away with them when they leave the theater.
When people come to see Funny Bonz, what I want for them to experience is just joy, laughter, happiness. I want them to reflect on the absurdities of real life and see that there is humor in it. And I just want them to have a great time. I want them to be able to escape from their own personal real world for the duration of the show and just look at the absurdity, that things that might upset someone or a topic that might be questionable. Just see the humor in that and how dumb life really is, and it's just dumb in a funny way. It's just, you've got to see the humorous side of it. So I want them to get laughter and joy and maybe humming a couple of the tunes on their way home and talking about, oh my gosh, that girl with the big, huge eyes, she was hysterical. And just forget about their own world for a couple hours.
What I want them to get out of Funny Bonz is that sketch comedy and musical theater very much go hand in hand. Like, there's so many, like, starting out when people were writing musicals, they were mostly comedic. Like, there were, like, not, like, over-the-top comedy, but, like, there were more jokes than there were tears. And sketch comedy in musical theater reminds me that musical theater can just be funny. Like, it can just be a good time. Not that theater's not a good time, which it most definitely is, but sketch comedy musical theater is a branch of musical theater that every single person needs to try. And what I want people to get out of Funny Bonz is everything. I want their eyes to open up. P3 is amazing, Funny Bonz is amazing, and you're just gonna have to come see for yourself. Hi, I'm Cam Burchard. I am a cast member in Funny Bonz at P3 Theater Company, and if you've been sleeping on Funny Bonz, you gotta wake up, drag your butt over, and sit down and enjoy the show, because that's what we're out to do.
While I'm performing live in Funny Bonz, I always just have a great time with the castmates, and we're generally laughing about things, or, it's not, like, so serious, so it's like I said, it could always be, like, slightly different, sometimes they change lines, sometimes it doesn't quite go that way, or, a laugh's gonna fall someplace way different, so, you play with that.
So in the live performance, I think the thing I'm looking forward to the most is just those moments where the cast is on stage or we're doing a number of some kind and someone just has that one little moment where they say ad-lib and the whole cast can't stop laughing at it. I don't know what it is about, like, a cast on stage trying their best not to laugh, but that almost always ends up being my favorite part of any show. And in Funny Bonz specifically, there have been a few times where we've all been on stage trying to get through the number, holding our breath and, like, absolutely about to lose it. And it's the funnest thing in the world to me. I love it.
I feel like I am constantly looking for engagement when I'm up on stage with the rest of the Funny Bonz audience. I'm excited to join the cast this year. This will be my first year with the group. So I'm very looking forward to that connection that you get with an audience. When someone is really enjoying themselves, there's that connection you get. And I mean, I think that's why we're all here in the first place, is that feeling of connection you don't get with a screen. There's a way to feel it, but being in person is completely different.
When we are directing a Funny Bonz sketch, we are mostly looking for where's the laugh, what works, what doesn't. Sometimes it's a little bit hit and miss even. We find, John and I just had a meeting the other day, and we have a song in the show that is hilarious, but in my opinion, it didn't work in the one spot. It wasn't the way to kick off the show because you want to grab the audience. So you have to kind of play a little bit, and you have to try things out, and you have to see what works best in what spot. And that's what we do, and we always look for the major laugh. Sometimes even while you're watching it being done on stage, you're like, I got it. I know how to make that better. I know how to get a bigger laugh there. And that's what we try to do. Our actors are so talented, they can usually find it without much help. But we're there to keep a vision and to give them suggestions as necessary.
When I sing, I really enjoy the audience kind of being taken away with me into a story. And that's why I thought, okay, singing, like just singing in general is my favorite. And it wasn't until I did comedy that over seeing the audience's faces or getting some tears or hearing the applause, over all those things, laughter was so much more important and interesting and engaging, and I felt like I was one with the audience in a way that I'd never been before. Laughter is the key, and that's exactly what I look for every time we perform Funny Bonz. That's my favorite part, is hearing you guys laugh.
What I look forward to the most in Funny Bonz is taking on like all these different characters. I actually have a bit of stage fright, and it's kind of hard for me to go up as myself and do theater or even be on stage. Like giving speeches terrifies me, but in Funny Bonz, it's all written out for me, all rehearsed. We know like when the punchlines are, we know when everything is, and we know when the audience is gonna laugh, or when we think they're going to laugh.
When I'm performing live with an audience for Funny Bonz, I'm looking for the energy that the audience brings and how I can connect with that. Every audience is different. It's like an additional character in the show. You come in and you rehearse your scenes, get everything ready, and you plan as much as you can with an improvisational show. And then it really doesn't come to life until you have the audience. When they come in, they're the spark and the flame that gets things moving, and to have that connection, there's a specific energy that is shared only in the moment when you're live with an audience. It can't be replicated anywhere else, because Lord knows we tried during the pandemic with virtual. It's a good experience for virtual, but it's just not the same as having a live audience and having that shared energy of life that you have an ebb and flow between you and the audience. It's just a unique experience, and it's a shared journey.
I am obsessed with sketch comedy, and it's just so fun to perform. So of course I have to be in the show. But as artistic director, I have to remind myself I didn't create this theater company to put myself on the stage, but I still got to do it. So I am in a couple numbers in the show. Both numbers actually are numbers that I performed in the original Laughing Matters in Fort Lauderdale, and they were two of my favorites. So I do those numbers. But my real role is to be there, is to really connect with the community, with the audiences, be there with the cast, and just enjoy and revel in the laughter that's surrounding me. But when I'm on stage, I've performed in several different numbers throughout the different iterations of Funny Bonz up until now. Sometimes I've had to step in for other actors and perform in their numbers because they were sick or not able to be at a performance. So I've had the pleasure of being able to do a lot of the numbers that are in the show. And it's just so much fun. With it being a sketch comedy and alternate parody lyrics, sometimes we get to sing a lot of words that would never really be in a song, but we get to sing words like, I can't even think of any off the top of my head, but this isn't in the show, but like a word like intrauterine. That wouldn't be in a song, but stuff like that gets put into parodies and sketch comedy. So it's fun to be able to sing those words you'd never be able to sing. But truly, honestly, the real joy of being in any type of live theater production is that energy you get from the audiences and the other live actors on stage. You don't get that when you're on a film set. You've got a whole crew of people out behind the cameras that are there watching every move and every arm movement and this and that, and you don't get those immediate responses. But with a sketch comedy, which is full of laughter, sometimes we have to restrain ourselves from laughing on stage. What I love to get out of performing that is truly the laughter and the energy from the audiences, and it's all positive and humor and fun and silly. So that is why I just have to be in at least one number in the show.
So viewers must see Funny Bonz, because not only are you going to see a comedy show that you have never seen anything like in your life, but every month it's different. We're going to be shifting stuff around. You will never see the same show twice, and even if you see some of the same numbers, they might not be the same as the last time you saw them. There's a lot of variety in this show, and I think seeing it multiple times will not only give you even bigger laughs, because you already know the punchline, but maybe we've changed it up. There's never really a way to tell how we're going to change things. And I think just that variety is a really good incentive to come back. And also it's funny, and we are going to laugh.
I think that we all must go to see this P3 Productions of Funny Bonz this year specifically because of all of its new material, all of its new cast members, and come monthly so that you can see us all play in the sandbox together and have a laugh.
There's two reasons. Two reasons people must attend our Funny Bonz performances. To have fun and laugh is the major reason, but also support the arts. John is trying to keep P3 going. There's a lot of theater companies I know that didn't survive what we've been through in the last few years. If you get out there, if you go to support a live theater venture instead of a movie, it helps so much keep the arts alive. I know everybody enjoys live theater. So sometimes you just have to be reminded, hey, there's live theater out there instead of a movie. There's live theater out there instead of going to the park or going to the beach. If you have an option to see live theater, it helps our world. It really does.
You have to come check out Funny Bonz because you are going to laugh. We all need some breaks in the seriousness of life, and I think going with a group, going with your family, having some friends there is just all a very community, social thing to do and be a part of. It's so much fun. You're going to enjoy it. And you have to come back more than once. Come every month when you can because Funny Bonz is always changing. That's the fun part of the show. It's changing so much that sometimes the night before, I'm still getting emails saying we're doing something different. So you're going to be surprised because I'm continually surprised about what we're putting in, what we're taking out, what we're changing, what we're adding to the show. It's always an ever-growing, ever-moving piece, which is quite fun for us and even more fun for the audience because you can always come and expect something new.
Let me tell you what, you need to come see Funny Bonz every single month because it may be the same and it may not be the same. Whether the material is the same, the show's not going to be the same. It's going to be different whether the material changes or not. And the jokes are going to hit differently. The audience is going to laugh at different parts of the joke every single night. And that's kind of what we love about this format is we workshop things with the audience and then it lands and then it doesn't land and then we see what lands. That's what comedy is. And sketch comedy and musical theater is an incredibly rare breed of comedy that I'm pretty sure most of Southern California has not witnessed. And they need to come see this show because it's the best one out there.
The reason people should come see P3 Funny Bonz, especially the theater community, is the shared journey of the artistic experience. We are all human. We all have shared experiences, and it only works if we're all together and building something together. We all, as human beings, have things that we want to share with other people, and the best way to do that is to share an environment of creativity and joy. And as far as coming to see P3 Theater, people should come on a regular basis because every show is different. Every audience is different. Every choice that an actor makes is different. Every show is different by nature of the fact that it's a spontaneous live experience that is special and is a shared journey. And like I was saying before, the audience brings its own energy and its own input and is a character in the show as well. So by nature of that, every audience brings a new experience to the theater, and the theater brings a new experience to the audience. It's a dialogue where both parties, the audience and the performers, share a common ground where we can create something new that never existed before. So come join us and explore the creativity with us.
Viewers must go see Funny Bonz because I'm in it, so they should really come see me. I mean, viewers should really come see it because it's just, like I keep saying, it's just light and fun and, and it's short. I'm a big fan of short shows, so it's great.
Theater audiences absolutely must, come to see P3 Theater's production of Funny Bonz, because if you don't, you will miss out on 2 of the most hysterical hours of your life. And you don't want to walk out of this realm with the coulda, woulda, shouldas. And it just really, anybody that I've ever talked to that has seen this show or its predecessors have just told how joyous of an experience it was. And here's a little secret. Because we are changing the show up on a regular basis because things in the world change, so we have to update the material, you'll probably never see the same show twice. So guess what? You can come back when your friends come into town and go, oh my gosh, there's this hysterical show that runs every month that we have to go see. I'm going to take you to see it when you come. You can bring new friends. And just come yourself. Just keep coming back yourself, and you'll see different numbers in the show. You'll see different actors sometimes because we're always hiring new actors in the cast. And so you just don't miss out on this must-do experience in life. And another reason that you have to come to Funny Bonz is because in doing so, you are supporting a local regional theater. Nonprofit, mind you, so we do give a lot back to the community, and your patronage helps us continue to do this show as well as our main stage productions and expand on our educational division as well.
My hopes for the new P3 Theater Funny Bonz is that it gets all of the recognition it deserves and that maybe we can even take this into a touring group, right? So that we can see people even outside of Hermosa, maybe even come down to Long Beach once in a while if you promise to see it. This show has a lot of promise, and I'm excited to share it with you.
I hope we keep growing our Funny Bonz group in the future. We have a wonderful group right now. It's an ongoing process, and it's an ongoing performance process. So they're not always available because they are talented, so they go out and do other things sometimes. So we want to get a big enough group that we have people to fall back on, that a lot of people know lots of different tracks in the show, which are the performances. You know a lot of different songs that you can step into, so that we can perform at least once a month. People can come see the show, and it will be different every time you come to see it because it'll be different people, different music, different lyrics, and it's just a good time. Come more than once. Bring your friends. If you have a good time, come back, please.
My hopes for Funny Bonz' future is that we continually grow our audience. We get new faces in there constantly. I think that's the important part, is we want to introduce more people to Funny Bonz. That would mean the world to me, to just see new faces every performance, grow the audience, grow our group, perhaps travel with the show, do a lot of extra things so we can just show everyone how fun and funny this show really is.
My hopes about the new Funny Bonz, I would really hope we'd just keep expanding on our material and be able to swap things out for the show, which I have no doubt that we're going to be able to do that in the future. I would love to bring it to other places than Southern California, a bigger group, more cast members that we can switch out, just an all-around just bigger bigger, bigger. But you know, John's got it all. John's got all these amazing ideas, and when I think about the future of P3, I know we're fine because we got John.
What I would hope for the P3 Theater and Funny Bonz is to continue expand and to continue sharing the message of joy and love and creativity. One of my favorite actors, Tony Azito, used to say, "What next can I do to share happiness, creativeness, and joy?" And that is what I want to share and bring to Funny Bonz in this. And I hope that by continuing to work with them, we can build it and expand it and share the love and the joy that we have in creativity and in the arts, because the world really, really needs it. We have so many things going on in the world that distract us. People are busy with jobs and lives and problems. And it's a special thing to be able to share that one special kind of joy that you can make only in a creative environment, when you're sharing the spontaneous joy and happiness of music, laughter, love, and fellowship that you only can share as a performing group and an audience. It's a special, sacred space, and I'm hoping that this can continue to grow and branch out to other areas, other theaters. People need to see this and need to have hope and joy, and I hope that we're able to share that.
My hope for the Funny Bonz show is to keep continually doing it, to get to do more shows than once a month, or, But yeah, just to keep doing it, and then, just keep adding new sketches, keep modernizing it.
Looking forward into 2023 and beyond, for Funny Bonz, what I would love is twofold, really. I would love for us to have more performances, to be able to bring more joy to our community and to give more work to our actors. And I would also love to have a little spin-off version of Funny Bonz where it's not in a set theater space, but where we can play different venues and take it to different communities in the Southern California area, basically everywhere from San Diego to Valencia out to Palm Springs. It would be great to have the ability to do that, where we could have multiple casts of the show performing little regional tours, because a show like this moves very easily. It's easy to get the actors places. There's not a lot of set pieces or anything like that. And we can just bring Funny Bonz to the entire Southland of Southern California.
My hopes for Funny Bonz are definitely just keep bringing in more family, I would love to have this just big cast and even more numbers and even bigger, grander, just more Funny Bonz. I just can't wait for more Funny Bonz, honestly. And even if it is just the way it is now, it's something that I think people should not miss. And I can't wait to see where we go from here. Hi, I'm Max Ritter. I am a cast member of Funny Bonz for 2023, and you need to come out and see Funny Bonz because you will not see something funnier in your life. I promise you.
Well, P3 Theater Company and all theater companies, I don't know if the general public realizes this a lot of times. Theaters thrive primarily on donations. Everything from your live theaters to the Pantages and Segerstrom, 75% of their cost at least are achieved through generous donors that support it. Sometimes the smaller groups, people don't think to support, and it's on a smaller level, so it's easier to do. But every single theater group needs your support. They need donations to survive, and if you enjoy what you see, the most important thing is to get the word out and to help a little bit financially to keep us thriving.
P3 Theater needs the support and love from our audience through donations, through sponsorships, through volunteer work. Anything you can do to keep theater alive is so key to just happiness all around, and the key to bringing our communities together, getting more people under the same roof to see the same thing, to laugh, to enjoy. Theater is never going anywhere, but through your help and through your effort, you can always help us expand and grow and keep this theater running. And I think it's the most important thing to keep theater going, to keep our performers going, to keep our audiences there. It really does bring communities and people together.
P3 is an incredibly important company, not just to the Southern California theater world, but Southern California in general, because they have given us everything. P3 is a company that I have just kind of seen through the Instagram pages and the Facebook posts that they're a recent company, but there's no reason why people should not work with this company, with how amazing John is, with how amazing the people he gets to help him out is, all the casts he has, all the work he does with the community. He is pushing for the arts to get out there, not just for theater goers, but for everyone. Like, we need everyone, and we want everyone to come see shows. Like, that's what we love, when non-theater people come see shows and then love them. It's the best.
The reason theaters like P3 Theater are so important to our community is because it shares the human joy of art, and the human spirit needs to be fed in a way that just can't be fed any other way. You have the ability to share of your inner self beyond any exteriors or preconceived notions. There's a human spark inside all of us, no matter where we are in life, what walk of life we choose. There's an inner creativity that is just innate to a human being. And we need to nurture that. I think especially in our culture, we don't understand the value that has. And I think it's completely undervalued in such a way where people don't realize how important it is, because art and expression and sharing of the human condition is fundamental. It's what separates us from all other creatures in the world. Cats, dogs, whatever, they're all alive and vital too. But there's one special thing that a human could do, which is to share their emotion and their love with other people in a way that fosters creativity and growth. And I think that people forget that. We get caught up in numbers or this, that, or technology or whatever. But at the fundamental thing is a sharing of human souls. And you just can't get that any other way. And we need to continue to reach out to the arts and support them, because that is what makes us human. And if we don't have a place to share that, then we're no better than a pencil. We're just an object, and that is not what humans are. And we have so much to offer, so much spirit, and it's a sacred experience to share with people the inner part of them, because so many people keep themselves hidden. So many people are afraid. There's fear every day. And if you can just open up and share what's inside you, most of the time you just can make a connection with another person, and then that becomes this profound experience that can't be replicated anywhere else. So go support your arts community and help everyone grow from childhood on to adulthood. Everyone needs to be able to express their inner feelings and emotions and experiences. So go and share and learn from other people. We're all human, and we need to share the human experience together.
Theaters like P3 are so important because it's just, especially with COVID, so many theaters got shut down, and like P3's still going, trying to pump through as strong as they can, and they really need help, with buying the tickets, getting any donations possible, because the arts are so important, and, people need live theater to go see. And so, I really strongly promote helping out arts, or just even to go seeing the show, give what you can. Any amount helps.
People should definitely be involved in nonprofit theater, or even just smaller theater companies like P3. I think it's important because local theater is the beating heart of theater. And yes, there's your Broadway, there's your West End, there's your professional theaters, and they're important, don't get me wrong. But nonprofit local theater, community theater, that is where actors are born. That is where all those famous people that you love and adore and are iconic, that's where they came from. And if you don't support that, we don't get any more of that. So I really think keeping that local theater scene alive and well is so important, and interacting and donating and whatever you can do to be in touch with your local theater companies is just important for the future of theater, really.
Theaters like P3 really thrive off of donations. We do shows to keep the doors open, but it doesn't always cut it. We need help through people like you who understand the importance of theater and the importance of that live connection to keep us all going. So even if you're unable to see the show, if you like what you see, maybe on social media or through interviews like this, it would be lovely if you could find the company and donate.
Theater companies like P3 Theater Company and other nonprofit regional and community theaters are vital to the communities in that they do bring arts and arts education to our communities. And we wouldn't be able to do that without the support of our patrons and our community in forms such as corporate sponsorships, private sponsorships, grants, individual donations. They're all very, very vital to organizations like P3 and other local community and professional nonprofit theaters. We would not be able to bring the work we do to the community without that support. So we are certainly appreciative of all of our patrons, all of our donors, and we look forward to a long, long life in the local community. Speaking of sponsorships, which of course we always welcome, I would love to give a big shout out to the Port of Long Beach, who has been supportive of not only P3 and certain productions, but they have been a very loyal sponsor of every iteration of Funny Bonz since we started at the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Organizations like that and individuals, like-minded individuals, philanthropists, if you will, are really the true angels of the regional nonprofit theater community.
What do I say about John Peterson? I would not be doing this if it weren't for John Peterson. When he reached out to me about Funny Bonz, John is a dear friend, and he kind of disappeared out of California for a while, and we lost track of each other. We used to be really tight, really close, and we were still close, but didn't see each other as often. This has been a chance for John and I to reconnect on not only on a friendship level, but on a professional level, on a collaborative level. We just enjoy each other. We enjoy being around each other. We love to laugh ourselves, and so this is a good way to do it.
Why do I like John? John is a fantastic leader, an even more amazing person. Just being able to work with him and laugh with him in rehearsals and getting connected through the P3 theater program has meant so much to me, and he's such a passionate and wonderful individual. He really does put quite literally all his efforts and time and work into this theater program for the performers, for the community. He really does do the most. I mean, to a point where I'm like, does this man ever sleep? He really does a lot, and I enjoyed working with him. I enjoy him as a director. I enjoy him as a performer. I enjoy him as a friend. He really is just the greatest, and I knew I was gonna like him during my first audition for P3 Theater because he said he liked me. So that I knew we were gonna like each other because he said he liked me enough to want me to come back and see P3 Theater and be a part of it. So I'm here, and I'm so happy that John is taking control of a really, really, really big ship to make this work out. He's in charge, he's got it going on, and he can always use some more help, and I know that, but he's just such an amazing person.
John Peterson he's quite a guy. He's someone you can always look up to. You can always go to him for literally anything. And since him reaching out to me about Funny Bonz, I don't know, I just kind of felt like I had gotten something great, and in getting to know John more and seeing how he runs stuff, he really does a lot, and it's really inspiring, like his dedication to his company, and just watching him get everything out there is really awesome. And I've learned a lot from John, and every single person can learn something from him.
John Peter said yes. He's just an amazing person. He has so much vision and vitality. Sometimes he'll get excited and caught up in his own excitement, and it just bubbles up, and it makes it even better. He's a wonderful person, very funny, very giving, and he cares so much and so deeply about the artistic community. And I'm so proud to see how much he has grown over the last few years in growing P3 Theater, because I know he's had a lot of obstacles. He's had a pandemic to contend with, which none of us have ever had to deal with before. So he's still persevered, and I think at the base level of it, I think he's committed to trying to keep the artistic spark alive and to share that creativity with the world. And I think that's really important for people.
I've known John for a good few years now, and I can say I haven't met someone with a more full heart than John. And he wants to share this gift of theater with everyone, every single person. And it's so admirable how he has pushed P3 through the hardest of times, and we're still going, like we're still here. And it's all because of John. Like, it's because of the work that he has put in, and it's really amazing to see how hard he's worked and how loving of a person he is.
John is a great leader. I think he's really kind of naturally gifted for it. You know, it's really hard to start a theater company, genuinely off of the bat, just there. So the fact that we are still here, the fact that P3 Theater made it through the pandemic and we're out here talking to you and making this show together is a testament to his leadership abilities. I love working with John Peterson. We've been working together for quite some time now, and every time I do, I just find myself enjoying my time with him. You know, we laugh, we hang out, and I'm genuinely excited to be spending more of my time with him.
P3 Theater Company has offered a fantastic platform for creative minds, for creative teams, for performers, for all different types of talent in all walks of theater. It's offered them an opportunity to explore their craft. P3 is more than just that. Yes, we've been able to, as according to our mission, been able to offer paid employment opportunities to creatives, but we have explored humanistic truth through creative works of art. We've explored the diversity that's in our surrounding communities, and it's been such a thrill to be able to be a part of that and to really watch that grow. P3 Theater Company, while many theater companies are alike in many, many ways, each one of us is unique in its own special way. And I like to say that probably one of the things that makes us the most unique is our involvement in our surrounding communities, working with and partnering with other nonprofit organizations that have outreach programs to reach out to those less fortunate that may have difficulties going to the theater or may have other challenges in life, and bringing the art form to them through our educational programming of P3 Educates, where we bring unique custom-made workshops that reach out to different types of communities, and just our involvement in the community. And we always try to select works to put on our stages that, yes, we'll bring the popular show like Evita or Steel Magnolias, but we'll bring thought-provoking works that explore different walks of life, such as Love, Valor, Compassion, which is a Tony Award-winning play that explores the LGBT community in the 90s, in the early 90s, and talks about the AIDS crisis. We have shows coming up in our upcoming season that touch on a lot of different maybe mental health challenges and things like that. So we like to bring relatable works and keep that connection with our community, which basically our community is the reason we're here. So we're very grateful for that, and very, very excited about seeing how we can continue to grow that connection to the community and further explore our mission. When I was in the beginning stages of developing P3 Theater Company, I really wanted to make sure that anybody employed or that worked with P3 Theater Company as a volunteer or whatever, in whatever aspect, that they had a great experience. So what I was very careful to do was to take all of my experiences in theater over a 30-year period and pull out the best experiences that I had. With different theater companies on cruise ships, tours, whatever it was, it didn't matter. I wanted to remember and pull all of those best experiences that I had in working with that particular company or a particular show. And I tried to take all of that and make all of that into P3 Theater Company. I like to think that is working. And I say that because we have some actors and creatives who have been with us since our conception. I have an actor who started in the ensemble of our inaugural production of Evita, who is now the assistant to the executive director, on top of still being cast in shows because of his talent level. Ultimately, I like P3 to feel like one big family. That's really important because, yes, there's the business side of any business, and including theater. That's why they call it show business. So there are those business choices and decisions we have to make. But people aren't just a number when they come here. We're not just another theater, another gig. While, yes, we technically may be, but when people are here and working with us, I want them to feel like they belong, like they are wanted here. And they are, of course, because I wouldn't hire anybody I didn't want. What it comes down to. And we keep that in mind when we are hiring creatives and casting the show. We're not going to cast you just for your talent. Yes, your talent will certainly get you a second look. But people give off a vibe and they behave in certain ways. And we want to make sure that everybody fits that mold of being part of a family. And then theater-going audiences get a unique experience with P3 in that we pay very, very close attention to production values. Every person we've had on our stage has been extremely talented. We hire only the best of our creative team: directors, choreographers, musical directors, costume designers, prop designers, set designers, sound designers. Every single one of those pieces is crucial to the outcome of a production. And I like to think that we pay very close attention to that, so the audience always walks away having seen a superb production. And I'm proud to say that we've got a remarkable team of people. And even gosh, yeah, even from the bottom to the top. There is no bottom, there is no top. Everybody is treated with the same respect and the same love, and that shows when we put on a show. So the cast members and the technicians feel it, the audience feels it. When you call our box office, you're remembered by name. Our box office staff remembers the people's names, and they will greet you by name when you come to the theater and make you feel like you're part of the family too. It's because you are. It sounds cheesy, really, but it's not. It's just the way it is. And there's no experience like it.
Hi, I'm John Peterson, Executive Artistic Director and founder of P3 Theater Company. And today I am sitting here with my good friend and colleague, Jimmy Hippensteel.
Hello.
Who is the director of our production of Funny Bonz, the Humerus Solution. So, Jimmy, when did you fall in love with the theater, and why did you have to be part of the theater world?
Well, John, first of all, I want to thank you for letting me sit this close to you. This is an unusual event, and I'm enjoying it. It's delightful.
Well, thank you.
John, I began theater when I was just a tiny tot. I was about 5 years old, and my mother put me on the stage in her PTA shows. And I loved it, and she loved having me in there. And then after that, it was a natural progression. She noticed I wasn't a basketball player like my brothers, or I didn't ride horses like my sister, so she put me in an audition when I was 8 years old. And it was a group called Junior University in San Bernardino, and it was my children's theater that I grew up in. And it was only during the summer, but every summer we looked forward to it as our favorite part of the year. And then I knew I loved theater and I was going to be doing it for the rest of my life.
Oh, I can just see a little Jimmy running around in tap shoes.
Pinocchio, 10 years old.
Oh my God. What was
There are cassette tapes, by the way.
Oh my God. Cassette tapes, what are those?
1970.
Oh my God. Hey, that's the year I was born.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Okay, this interview has been really fun. And let me ask you, John, when did you fall in love with theater? And why did you have to be a part of the theater world, other than the obvious fact that they needed you to be?
They needed me. They really did. Actually, it's kind of funny. I got a late start. I'm a late bloomer in the theater world.
As in last week? Or?
Pretty close.
Okay.
Pretty close. Thank you. You just de-aged me about 30 years. No, it was actually not until high school. The true story is I lived next to a high school in San Diego County that was known for its drugs and its gangs, and my parents didn't want me to go there. So the only way to go to a school in a different district at that time, there was a performing arts high school on the other side of the city I grew up in, Chula Vista High School for the Creative and Performing Arts, and I had taken some piano lessons at that point. So I actually auditioned and got into that school as a piano major. And then my senior year of high school, I auditioned for their madrigal choir and their glee club, aka the main attraction it was called, and was cast in both of those. And that's kind of how I got my start with that. Then I auditioned for a production of, my girlfriend at the time convinced me to audition for a production of Sound of Music. And at the age of 16, I was cast as a Nazi.
Even though there is a role, 16 going on 17.
There is, but I had never done theater, so it went to someone much more talented than I at the time. And that kind of, between that production and the two groups I was in at the Performing Arts High School, I just kind of caught the bug. And actually, I went into college as a criminology major, but then I auditioned for the choir at UC Irvine, and they convinced me to audition for their madrigal choir, which was an elite group of singers, and I had been taking voice lessons at that point, and I just kind of really just got sucked in, and by the time I graduated, I ended up with a theater degree, and no criminology, and the beast was born.
So when you think of drugs, gangs, and Nazis, think of John Peterson.
And the theater.
I was a madrigal too, by the way.
Were you?
Eisenhower High School. Yes.
Oh, very cool.
I was. Well, can I ask you another question, John?
Absolutely, go for it.
Why is the sketch comedy format such a unique format to you, and why do you love it?
Well, first of all, it's comedy. How can you not love comedy? I would tell you that if I was in my early 20s, I would not have liked sketch comedy. I didn't like comedy. When I was growing in the theater world, I was really a singer first and foremost. And I got caught up in an opera company, so I was this dramatic opera singer and ended up doing musical theater because I could dance.
Which some operas make me laugh, by the way.
Some are funny.
Yes,
some are very funny, especially when you don't know what they're saying. But over the years, I started doing musical comedy and getting cast in more musicals and really found the love of comedy. But sketch comedy is just so different in that it's a lot more timely, and it's basically a lot of times it's songs you're familiar with parody lyrics written to it, and you're making fun of something that's real in the real world, and it's not necessarily part of a major dramatic storyline that's in a show. And you do get to have that connection with the audiences too that you wouldn't in a regular musical. And I also like it. I prefer it to improv personally because I'm not always that quick on my feet. So with sketch comedy, it is more or less scripted typically, and I do much better with some type of outline of a script at least. And it's just so much fun. It's great when you're in it and you're hearing the audiences laugh, but you're laughing too because of the material of what it's making fun of or what the parody is about. It's always just such a fun thing.
I was going to say I have a very similar feeling about sketch comedy. It's the fact that it's planned, but it's not planned. I know everybody's favorite part of the Carol Burnett show was when Harvey Korman or Tim Conway would make everybody bust up laughing.
Yes.
That's exciting in sketch comedy because everyone loves to improv, everyone loves to make up what they're saying and doing, but if you have a format like sketch comedy that works, and you know that it works because you've rehearsed it and you've planned it, then you've got your basic core that you can build off of and then just go to town from there.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about sketch comedy.
Yeah, the room to play and expand, and because of the relationship that the cast builds with the audiences, you get the feel for what's working right at that moment, and you can kind of expand upon it,
exactly.
or diminish it if it's not quite working out, or the crowd that particular night they're not really into colorectal surgeons, for example.
Why would you not be, first of all?
Right? I ask that question all the time. Oh my gosh. So, well, this is kind of our next question is kind of more of a collaborative question because of our business relationship with the show. Let's talk about our process in creating a sketch comedy skit. Like what do we do? Let's let everybody know what we go
First,
through.
let me talk about a place called Fire and Ice in Anaheim.
Yes,
I'm giving them a free shout out. It's a wonderful restaurant, and John and I love to meet there and talk about Funny Bonz, and we just did so a couple of nights ago. I think the process is really just keeping your eyes and ears open what the world's about right now as far as news goes, as far as what's funny in the world, which is getting harder and harder to find sometimes. But we listen to songs and we collaborate that way, and we say, hey, what do you think about this song? Johnny will email me a link to a song, and I'll go, oh my gosh, that's perfect for our group. It's hilarious. And we're a little bit irreverent. We don't always do the clean version of everything, but that's why the audiences love it. It's unexpected, and it's a guffaw moment.
Really,
you know. So if they don't expect to hear something, they're going to laugh really hard.
Yeah. If something catches you off guard and it is funny, that's the best sound is those spontaneous laughter, the guffaws, if you will.
Mostly we use each other as a sounding board, though. I'll get ideas, John will get ideas, and we go back and forth and say, what do you think? Will that work? And it usually does on our talented group of funny boners. Wait, can I say that? Funny boners? Blooper reel of our funny bone group.
Funny Bonzers.
Funny Bonzers. Yes, there
go.
you go. That's better.
And I have two things that I like to keep in mind when selecting material to be in the show, and it's number one, if we offend everybody, nobody can be offended.
Correct.
Of course they will anyway, but hey, it's worth a shot. And then what was the second one? I forgot. There was something that was second. Oh yes, if it's in the news, it's probably worth making fun of. Whether it's good news, bad news, in between news, it's out there. Everybody knows something about it, so they can relate.
Right. And again, I don't know if you feel this way, but sometimes I have to turn the news off because you want to keep your day bright and you want to keep your day happy, and sometimes the news will get under your skin, and if we can help enlighten everybody's knowledge of what's going on in the world by poking a little fun at it, I think we've done our job.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Which takes us into, why is sketch comedy good for the soul?
Well, because laughter is good for the soul.
It is.
I mean, that's the short, easy answer, really. Everybody needs a little laughter in their lives. It only makes you happier as a person. It only makes you more productive in your day. If you're not miserable, you're not going to get a lot done. But if you're happy and laughing, you're going to go on through that day and get something accomplished.
Absolutely. And there is actually a scientific reason behind laughter being good for the soul. Something about releasing hormones and
Endorphins, perhaps?
Endorphins? What are you talking about,
I
Flipper?
don't know. I don't know.
But we do have a member of our cast who is a licensed music therapist, so that might be a good question for him. Like, what are the benefits of laughter? You know, from a medical or scientific standpoint.
Yeah.
I mean, that's there. I mean, but it just feels good, doesn't it?
I think most of you know that.
Yeah. But if you don't, you need to get to Funny Bonz.
Laughter
and
is
find
good
out.
for the soul.
Yeah.
This just in. All right.
All right, so when did you hear about P3 Theater Company, and why did you want to work with this theater on Funny Bonz specifically, and why did you want to be a part of it?
Well, I heard about this whole company from John Peterson right over there. I've known John forever. We used to do theater together. We did Chorus Line together. We did Evita together and many other shows. We established a good rapport back then. We were great friends. We enjoyed being on the stage together. So when John tried to get what he made so successful in Florida prior to coming to California, he wanted to get it going out here. And so he gave me a call and he enlightened me on it and told me his vision, and I was intrigued. And I jumped in, and our first show at P3, when John wanted to get the ball rolling, was not an easy task. It was Evita, putting it on its feet. And we used a lot of very talented equity performers, and it was just a great experience for our first experience at P3. Wildly successful, got great reviews. Everybody that came loved it. And so that's, John asked me to direct and choreograph that because I had done that before at the theater where I met John. And after that, he told me about this Funny Bonz project, and I kind of jumped in as a performer at first for the Hollywood Fringe Festival. We were up there and had a great time, and I was thankful that I had the time to do it because it's always so gratifying when you don't always have time to perform to get that release.
Yeah.
And I was able to do that, and it wasn't a long run. It was just short of a month, I think.
Yeah.
And we had a good time. We made lots of friends in the Fringe Festival, and it was highly awarded, and just had a great time. But we're trying to make it bigger. We're trying to keep it going and have auditions and add more choreography, add more laughs, more songs, more lyrics, more people in the show, and make it a regular thing that people can find and visit and enjoy.
Mm-hmm. So when I was looking at casting the Fringe Festival, Jimmy was one of the first people I thought of because you are the funniest person I've ever met in my life, on stage and off. So when I was looking to cast, I thought, well, gotta call Jimmy. And because you're so popular and so in demand, and with the Music Theater Academy, you're so busy that I knew you wouldn't be able to do a long run. But the Fringe was a great test for the show to see if it would work out here on the West Coast, which it does. So I knew I had to have you involved in the production in some capacity. And if you couldn't be on the stage, absolutely having you at the wheel of this production and bring your vision in comedy to the cast and the interpretation of the songs and in the choreography. I was super thrilled that because of the way that the show is structured, you're able to be a part of that because of the flexibility of rehearsals and stuff like that.
Yeah. Just to clarify, I run a musical theater academy in Orange County, and we rehearse there sometimes for Funny Bonz. And they'll just come in after I have a rehearsal with the kids, and we just are creative, and it's great to work with adults as well as children, and I just enjoy this group so much.
Yeah. So we should give them a quick little plug, the Music Theater Academy of Orange
Yeah,
County.
the Musical Theater Academy of Orange County, and theater is spelled pretentiously with an R-E at the end.
And they've been a great partner with us, like you said, us being able to have rehearsals there and utilize that space, which is a fantastic space. So we're very grateful for the partnership with you guys on that too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, this says ask to John, so guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask this question to John.
You're so clever.
I follow instructions well. How would you explain to the audience what the new Funny Bonz, capitalized, group is about?
So, It's unlike the rest of our shows, really, our main stage productions, where we cast each production individually. This is more like a troupe of actors that we're assembling for an ongoing recurring production that updates over time based upon what's in the news, what's happening, what new material can we bring in that's just as funny, if not funnier, than the material that's in it. Got to keep it fresh so we can get those repeat offenders, aka the returning patrons, because people do that. They will come. They'll have friends come into town the following month. They go, "Oh my God, we're going to bring you to the show we saw a couple months ago. It's fantastic."
Don't forget elections are coming up. A laugh a minute.
Oh man, right. I tell you, we could have a whole comedy show on politics alone, but but there are other things out there that we have to make fun of. So, but that's basically what it is. I mean, with what we've done since the Hollywood Fringe Festival, we're expanding in 2023 by bringing on a live piano player as opposed to using musical tracks. We're bringing in new material. We've hired 2 new cast members. We're looking at hiring another couple more, and potentially even more up beyond that, because with a long-running gig type thing like this, we get people who are so talented that want to go out there and do 4 weeks of a musical type thing. So we want to be able to afford them the opportunity to do that while still being able to keep them, but keep the integrity of our show.
And then reel them back in when they're done.
Reel them back in. Yes, sirree, Bob. So we are expanding our stage a little bit. We're doing it in the same space at the Second Story Theater, but we're building some platforms to expand the playing area of the stage. So
in Hermosa Beach, right?
In Hermosa Beach,
Hermosa Beach?
Yes.
Great area. I'd never been there.
Oh, I love it.
I love it too.
It's a great city.
Who knew?
Who knew? But so we're making more playing area on the stage so Jimmy can have bigger choreography, because he is not only funny, but he's an excellent choreographer. We're building flats so we can have some type of like comedy club feel wall rather than just the black wall of a theater, to just enhance the production values and production experience. What else is there in there? Those are the big things that are happening with it, which are some big changes for us.
Those are big, yeah.
And we actually have reserved dates at the theater space all the way through 2023 into December.
And it's about once a month.
Yeah.
So you can come back, and hopefully there'll be new material every time you come, and bring your friends if you enjoy what you see.
And your family.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Maybe not your kids.
Yeah, we like to say, what is it, 13 and a half?
I would say.
Is it 13 and a half?
That half is a big difference.
It's the deal breaker. But
yes.
Again, we do leave it to the discretion of the parent, as long as we put out the caveat that there's some adult humor. I mean, it's not a nasty, dirty, raunchy show by any means, but there's some, a little bit of language and some adult humor. So use your discretion as parents, and it's up to you.
Being a teacher of youth, kids have heard a lot these days. So many of my young ones have heard more than I've heard. So
yes.
So
now I'm going to follow directions, and I'm going to ask Jimmy a question. Why, when I approached you and said, "Hey Jimmy, I've got this thing I'm doing," why did you want to direct and choreograph Funny Bonz?
Well, I had such a good time performing in it, and I knew with my schedule being so busy and not very flexible that I couldn't be reliable to you as a performer. One of the things I've cherished over my whole career is that I won't do something unless I'm responsible and committed to it. So I'm always very honest up front when I accept a project, and I think most directors and producers appreciate that honesty. So I was very honest with John. I said, I don't think I have time to be in this anymore, because the dates were very flexible at that point, and they would come up out of nowhere, and I just wasn't available. But that's when the opportunity presented itself to maybe move to the artistic side of the group and direct. And I think the big caveat was, let's add some choreography to the numbers. Because when we did the Fringe Festival, it was mostly just stand and make people laugh, pretty much. More of a black box feel.
Small space.
So we've gotten some really talented performers who move great and dance well, and the numbers are choreographed now, or not all of them, but a lot of them are choreographed, and it adds a lot to the show. So I think to come in as a director and choreographer, and also help John take some stuff off his plate, because he's pretty much a one-man show at P3, he just couldn't do everything, and I thought, well, this working relationship is going so well, let's continue it, and I'll help on the artistic side. I still count on him as a producer, though.
Yes, he does. He
Yes.
does. And yeah, it's just I'm so grateful that you're on board. Such a
Thank
wonderful
you.
thing. Yeah. So let's follow that up with what do you want the audience, as a director and choreographer, let's look at this from your perspective. What do you want the audiences to get out of Funny Bonz with the live in-person theater performances?
I think live in theater performances are the key words there. In today's world, when we've all been through such a difficult time together, I think everybody realizes that it's important now to try to resume life as much as possible. Going to live theater was such an everyday occurrence to most of us. None of the theaters have really fully bounced back from what we experienced in this world. And it's important to get out there and support live theater, first of all. So that's the main thing I want you to get out of it, is that you're seeing live people instead of seeing a movie or watching Netflix or being quarantined and watching ABC all day. You know, I think you're actually seeing live people perform. The second thing I would say is we need to have a good time. In this world, you just need to go out and experience something lighthearted, something that makes you laugh, something that makes you giggle, something that makes you think a little bit. And I think our show does all of that. And so I would hope that people would come to the show, not really knowing what to expect, but they would walk out thinking, that made me think and that changed me a little. And I enjoyed it. And then spread the word.
Yeah. It's funny what something like comedy can do with someone who might be somewhat closed-minded about a particular topic. If you're able to poke fun at something and they kind of see it from a lighthearted perspective, they may see something differently. So there's a potential education there.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good to know as we're looking for new material. We can alter your minds.
I've even experienced that as a performer in the show. I thought, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. All right, I'm going to ask you now. What are you looking forward to when you are performing live with the rest of the Funny Bonz group?
Having a good time. Like Jimmy's mentioned several times, we've got such talent in our group. These actors, singer, dancers they're so talented. Number one, it's a privilege to be on stage with them, creating comedy. It really is fun, and we have fun together as a unit. But I love that energy that comes from the audience. When you hear someone laughing and you can look out there in sketch comedy because there is no fourth wall. We can look right at someone and just seeing their laughter and the pure enjoyment that they're getting out of something like this it's so gratifying. Something you can't get if you're a film or TV actor. Yeah. You may have a couple crew members titter in the back, but they have to be silent because everything's mic'd and everything. But it's just really.
On the subject of gratification, I no longer perform live with the group, not to say that I won't in the future, but something that I find gratifying is watching John on stage, because he is just as talented and more experienced than anybody up there. And I got to tell you, for me to watch him put all these jigsaw puzzle pieces together and to experience the stress of getting the venue, sometimes getting food going to the audience and trying to sell tickets and trying to keep it advertised. And it's a lot, I know, because I run my company and I'm pretty much a one-man show over there. The moment that I can sit in the audience and watch John let loose, that's what I find gratifying, and that's hopefully what I find he looks forward to, is that moment where I can say, okay, all the pieces are put together, now I can have a good time.
It's so nice to be able to do that. When I'm backstage, there's nothing I can do about anything that's going on in the box office, or
you're at a point where you just got to have fun.
In my emails or any phone calls. No, I've got a show to do, and there's nothing like being an actor in a live show. It's just, yeah.
I love seeing him take off his producer hat and put on his performer hat.
So nice. Don't get me wrong, I love being a producer.
No, they're both fun, but in a different way.
Very different. Absolutely. Let's see, where are we here? What number are we on?
Why must viewers attend P3 Theater Funny Bonz live performances and go monthly to see Funny Bonz? I think we've touched on that a little bit already.
We have.
But just come out to have a good time. That's the main opportunity. But also, if it goes once a month, chances are when you come back, the material will have changed a little bit. So you might see a different performer. Sometimes your favorite performer will be missing and you're like, oh, I'm going to come back next month to see them again. So I think if you came once a month, or at least every other month, you would see different material, different people, different songs, different lyrics, different laughs, and have a different kind of good time.
Absolutely. And putting the producer hat on with that, your support of live theater. You attending over and over, especially if you're enjoying yourselves, which you will, it helps support the theater and keep the theater going. And you know, those ticket sales, they aren't a majority of what the theaters need to make their business run, but it's a big part of it. And you know, without the audiences, we wouldn't have a theater.
Correct.
So from a business aspect, that's my answer to that. But when you do that, you will have the fun that Jimmy's talking about. And that's,
Pardon me while I have a sip of vodka. I mean, water. That's what I wrote, water. Just
Uh-huh.
water, clear water.
Let's see here. So you have a question to ask of me.
I do. What are your hopes for the new P3 Theater Funny Bonz group now and in the future? And again, I think you've already touched on that a little bit.
We have, but I do have a little bit of a vision that we haven't touched on yet, and that is to actually have such a demand for our product, our show, that we have to have more performances because we're selling out and audiences are wanting to come see the show, which with being able to reach out to more people in the community, it creates more work for our actors and creative team, which is great for actors to be employed. It all helps the economy. You know, people come down to see our show. There are a
You
lot
go
of
to Hermosa Beach, you go out to the restaurants afterwards.
and then
it
after the
helps
show,
the city.
after the show, you go to the bars. There's so much to do down at Pier Plaza in Hermosa Beach and in the whole South Bay area. But
I know a good place to go to watch football, by the way, so I'll let you know.
So on top of being able to have more performances, maybe 2 weekends a month or 3 weekends a month or maybe every weekend.
Or maybe in a different location.
And that's what's my next thing, is to be able to expand to possibly have a touring company of Funny Bonz that does different venues in the Southern California area, or maybe one that goes out to Palm Springs for a month. They need to laugh out there too. It's so darn hot that you gotta laugh. So we'll make sure we find a song about heat or summer or the desert or something. But yeah, to be able to have like a traveling troupe, that type of thing, or to even do corporate events. This is perfect for corporate events or private events, Christmas parties. When I worked at Laughing Matters, which is the predecessor to Funny Bonz from the East Coast in Florida, we had Boeing, the airline, they bought out the venue. DHL, they bought out, we did sold out or buyout events. So those are opportunities as well. So we're looking forward to expanding to all of that and really just having a ball.
We can only do that with your support. Which brings us to our next question, I think. Yeah, why are theaters like the P3 Theater Company so important and need the community's help and support? Need the communities to help and support them?
You know, I love this question because you've got theaters in every major city, theaters like the Amundsen, the Pantages, the Segerstrom Center, where these big Broadway touring companies come through, and those are fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But when you dial it down into the communities and you talk about the small regional theaters, those are the theater companies that have programming and do productions that really reach out to our communities. They have education programs. They have just different types of things. They'll do sometimes more poignant works of theater that deal with certain issues that a lot of times producers will look at their season and look at their community. What does our community want? So we're not going to be necessarily doing a big production of Wicked if our community really wants. Everybody.
That was my next idea. Okay, but I'll get back on it. Don't worry.
Thank you. I was actually kind of getting off track a little, but we are the community. The people who are in these shows and put on these shows for our community are members of the community. I think
what's important to remember too, small community theaters are very similar to large theaters like the Pantages, like Segerstrom, in that every single theater group thrives on support and generous donations.
Yes.
I don't think people realize how expensive theater is. Sometimes I'll tell, my parents of my kids that I teach, yeah, this show costs $35,000. And they're like, what? They just don't understand that. And you cannot do it without support, without donations, without people who believe in the arts and will give of themselves and of their personal income. They will use it to support the arts. So donations are so important, and even buying tickets. I mean, that helps so much if you just come to the show, buy a ticket, and every little bit of support that we can get from every single person is going to help in the long run.
And while monetary is certainly the first and foremost need of theater companies, there is also another way. There are other ways to give, such as volunteering, offering your time. Some people don't have the means to make a big financial donation, but I tell you what, one person helping for 20 hours, if you look at minimum wage,
it's invaluable.
It's invaluable, and then they get to be part of the process too, which is fantastic. So many ways that support is helpful to the theaters, and we wouldn't be here without it for sure. So yes. Anything you'd like to add to that, Jimmy?
No, I would just say I look forward to hopefully seeing you listen to this interview, learning a little bit more about Funny Bonz, and come out and see us, and then help spread the word. Because like John says, he has big vision, big passion about this expanding to greater new heights, and we can't do that without you. So please, we look forward to you coming to Funny Bonz, and we look forward to seeing you next time in the theater.
And how do I get tickets to Funny Bonz, or how do I support P3
Let me
Theater?
ask that. How do I get tickets to Funny Bonz? And how do I support the P3 Theater Company?
Well,
And don't make me use my director voice!
let me answer your question
Okay.
very clearly and plainly. For tickets or for support of P3 Theater Company, visit our website at www.p3theater.biz. That's P3THEATRE.biz, B-I-Z, like
As in
showbiz.
showbiz.
Or you can call our box office at 714-689-8116. And another way is word of mouth. I just remembered that. But you can follow our social media. We are on Instagram, P3 Theater Company. We are on Facebook, P3 Theater Company. We're no longer on Twitter. There's a whole song about that. But yeah. So we will wrap this up by saying, see you at the theater.
Yeah, sure.
So we will go,
See you at the theater. Bye.
Ciao.
Hi, I'm John Peterson, Executive Artistic Director and founder of P3 Theater Company. And if you want more information about our fantastic upcoming 2023 season, you're going to want to watch this video. The theater experience is a very unique experience, not only for the actors, but for the theater goers as well, the patrons. For actors, being on stage, you get one shot to get it right, basically. Anything goes wrong, it goes wrong. You can't take it back, you can't erase it, you can't refilm it. You just kind of have to go with it and adjust accordingly. But the cool, which is actually a cool thing, can be, but the really cool thing about it is that you're in front of a live group of people that want to be there watching you. And you feed off the energy of that, and you feed off the energy of your co-stars. And it's really a cool and unique thing. I know I keep using the word cool, but it is cool to be able to do that in front of a group of people and get the immediate gratification of their applause, of their laughter, of seeing somebody crying in the audience over a dramatic scene. And then for the theater goer, it's unique for the same reason that you're sitting there watching a group of actors who get one shot to get it right. So you could be there to see some mishaps on stage, but you get that raw and live emotion and energy from the actors. And if you're sitting in your living room watching a TV show and you applaud something that you think is great, well, who cares? Nobody's going to hear that. I mean, it may make you feel better to applaud, but to be able to respond in whatever way is appropriate at that moment in a live theatrical performance, you're feeding to the energy of those actors on stage, and it's a reciprocal thing between actors and patrons, in that you're there for each other, which is kind of a cool thing. So it is definitely a unique experience to be on either side of the stage in a theatrical endeavor. Before I came up with the idea to start a theater company of my own, I had probably about a 30-year run as a singer, dancer, actor myself. So a lot of experience on stage, backstage. And I thought it was time for me to kind of turn the tables a little bit and start a theater company of my very own, where I could create a platform for other artists to shine, to give a place for people to do shows and bring the creative teams together and be on that side of the table. And what a gratifying move that was, because there's nothing like being able to assemble a team of creative minds and talented people and put them together and create art. And then to bring that art to the Southern California community, where I basically grew up and have lived majority of my life, to bring this art into the local communities is really, really an amazing thing. And it's a choice I made in my life that I will never regret. As I've mentioned, P3 Theater Company has offered a fantastic platform for creative minds, for creative teams, for performers, for all different types of talent in all walks of theater. It's offered them an opportunity to explore their craft. P3 is more than just that. Yes, we've been able to, as according to our mission, been able to offer paid employment opportunities to creatives, but we have explored humanistic truth through creative works of art. We've explored the diversity that's in our surrounding communities, and it's been such a thrill to be able to be a part of that and to really, really watch that grow. P3 Theater Company, while many theater companies are alike in many, many ways, each one of us is unique in its own special way. And I like to say that probably one of the things that makes us the most unique is our involvement in our surrounding communities. working with and partnering with other nonprofit organizations that have outreach programs to reach out to those less fortunate that may have difficulties going to the theater or may have other challenges in life, and bringing the art form to them through our educational programming of P3 Educates, where we bring unique, custom-made workshops that reach out to different types of communities, and just our involvement in the community. And we always try to select works to put on our stages that, yes, will bring the popular show like Evita or Steel Magnolias, but we'll bring thought-provoking works that explore different walks of life, such as Love, Valor, Compassion, which is a Tony Award-winning play that explores the LGBT community in the 90s, in the early 90s, and talks about the AIDS crisis. We have shows coming up in our upcoming season that touch on a lot of different maybe mental health challenges and things like that. So we like to bring relatable works and keep that connection with our community, which basically our community is the reason we're here. So we're very grateful for that, and very, very excited about seeing how we can continue to grow that connection to the community and further explore our mission. When I was in the beginning stages of developing P3 Theater Company, I really wanted to make sure that anybody employed or that worked with P3 Theater Company as a volunteer or in whatever aspect, that they had a great experience. So what I was very careful to do was to take all of my experiences in theater over a 30-year period and pull out the best experiences that I had with different theater companies on cruise ships, tours, whatever it was. It didn't matter. I wanted to remember and pull all of those best experiences that I had in working with that particular company or a particular show. And I tried to take all of that and make all of that into P3 Theater Company. I like to think that is working, and I say that because we have some actors and creatives who have been with us since our conception. I have an actor who started in the ensemble of our inaugural production of Evita, who is now the assistant to the executive director, on top of still being cast in shows because of his talent level. Ultimately, I like P3 to feel like one big family. That's really important because, yes, there's the business side of any business, and including theater. That's why they call it show business. So there are those business choices and decisions we have to make, but people aren't just a number when they come here. We're not just another theater, another gig. While, yes, we technically may be, but when people are here and working with us, I want them to feel like they belong, like they are wanted here. And they are, of course, because I wouldn't hire anybody I didn't want. What it comes down to. And we keep that in mind when we are hiring creatives and casting the show. We're not going to cast you just for your talent. Yes, your talent will certainly get you a second look, but people give off a vibe and they behave in certain ways, and we want to make sure that everybody fits that mold of being part of a family. And then theater-going audiences get a unique experience with P3 in that we pay very, very close attention to production values. Every person we've had on our stage has been extremely talented. We hire only the best of our creative team: directors, choreographers, musical directors, costume designers, prop designers, set designers, sound designers. Every single one of those pieces is crucial to the outcome of a production. And I like to think that we pay very close attention to that, so the audience always walks away having seen a superb production. And I'm proud to say that we've got a remarkable team of people. And even from the bottom to the top. There is no bottom, there is no top. Everybody is treated with the same respect and the same love, and And that shows when we put on a show. So the cast members and the technicians feel it. The audience feels it. When you call our box office, you're remembered by name. Our box office staff remembers the people's names, and they will greet you by name when you come to the theater and make you feel like you're part of the family too. It's because you are. It sounds cheesy, really, but it's not. It's just the way it is. And there's no experience like it. As a result of the lovely worldwide pandemic known as COVID-19, we were somewhat displaced. Actually, we were no placed for over 2 years as everything was shut down. But when things started to open up and we were looking at being able to do live in-person productions again, we no longer had access to the venue where we had originally opened. So in my original search over the years, I had found this really great theater space in Hermosa Beach. There is what's called the Hermosa Beach Community Center, and it houses a 502-seat, I think, theater and an 81-seat theater. So there are actually 2 different theatrical spaces in one location, which is great, depending on what type of show you're looking at producing. So we did our MGM in concert show there. I think was the first thing we did there. We were actually supposed to do that in May of 2020, and that got shut down. So we brought that back, and the staff there was fantastic. They were just so welcoming and so hospitable, which is really cool because you don't always get that. And so we decided to try a couple of different productions in that location. So we started producing shows in the second story theater, which is the smaller space in there. They have the main theater in the second story. And it's such a quaint space. And I cannot say enough how awesome the staff at that facility is. And the thing that I didn't realize at first, but I found out very quickly, is that the Hermosa Beach Community Center and the theater spaces there, they're actually run by the city of Hermosa Beach. Again, it's shocking to get such hospitable treatment out of something that's run by a city, because usually you just you're another check coming through to rent the facility. No, it's not like that. They treat us as if we're family. Over the last year, as we've been producing show after show there, we've really developed a great relationship with the city of Hermosa Beach, with the Chamber of Commerce in Hermosa Beach, with the community in Hermosa Beach. And we are very proud to call the Hermosa Beach Community Center our home. As long as they'll have us, we'll keep going there. P3 Theater Company is so excited about our upcoming 2023 season. First of all, it's going to be the first full year back in what we hope to be full swing post-pandemic. We have some incredible productions that are coming your way. The first main stage production we have is a show we have seen before, and by that I mean we have done before. It was the last production that we produced right before the pandemic in Long Beach. It is called Day After Day, The Life and Music of Doris Day. And it is just what it says. It is the life and music of Doris Day through her songs that made her famous, or that she made famous, because she was who she was. It's a delightful musical, and I am proud to say it is now an award-winning musical. The actress Deborah Robin, who played Doris Day in our production in 2020, she is the recipient of the Best Performer in a Musical Award from the Orange County Theater Guild. And I would like to add that category included both male and female in the category. So she beat out all the ladies, she beat out all the men, and she was the Best Performer in a Musical for her portrayal of Doris Day. She is back with the cast. Zach Apple, who plays the man/narrator, is back. We basically have the whole team back, and we are thrilled for this. We are going to be bringing this to the Second Story Theater in Hermosa Beach, and the audiences are just going to love it. It's a delightful piece. Our second main stage production is called The Red Suitcase by Jiggs Burgess. We are honored to be able to say that we are producing the world premiere of this magnificent play. It is the winner of the Del Shores Foundation Playwriting Competition as the best play, and it is an extremely moving piece. And the fact that P3 Theater Company gets to be the very first theater to produce this is an honor bestowed upon us like no other. We are thrilled to bring this. It is a story of hope and self-discovery, and it's very, very, it just delves into a lot of serious content that we can all relate to, that is really fantastic. It's not all dark and serious. There's definitely some humor in the play, very well written, and guaranteed to be a huge success. And because of the fact that it is a world premiere and we wanted to expand our audiences for this particular production, we are going to be producing it at the Broadwater main stage in Hollywood, California. So this will be a slight venture away from our home, but we are thrilled to be able to bring it to the greater LA area, and it's just a thrill. And the third main stage production in our season of 2023 is a huge hit. At one time, it was the longest running musical on Broadway. It is a multiple Tony Award-winning musical, a Pulitzer Prize-winning musical, and it is none other than A Chorus Line. I don't think I need to describe that show. It's a blockbuster hit. It's one of my personal favorite shows. I have performed in that show many, many times. A little long in the tooth for the show now, but not too old to produce it, I will tell you that. We have a magnificent creative team coming in to direct and musical direct the show, and that will actually be in the large theater at the Hermosa Beach Community Center. It's the main theater, the 500-seater, big proscenium stage, and we are holding back nothing in the production of this. Super thrilled to bring this magnificent work to the stage. So those are our three main stage productions. However, just like I always do, thinking outside the box, we have a musical sketch comedy review show called Funny Bonz, the Humerus Solution, which performs at the Second Story Theater in Hermosa Beach. That is not your typical Friday, Saturday, Sunday for 2-3 weekends. Here's your show. This is a recurring production that we do on a monthly basis. About monthly. Some months there's two, like one at the beginning, one at the end, just depends on the dates. But it is a hoot. It is a satirical look at politics, current events, celebrity mishaps, social mishaps. Basically, if it's in the news, we're making fun of it. It's a sketch comedy, so it's not improv. It's not made up on the spot. It's scripted, but it's not a regular musical comedy. It's a bunch of, think of it like a musical Saturday Night Live. All the skits they do on SNL, just think of that put to music. It's a freaking hoot, if I'm allowed to say that on the air. But it is for sure to get the audiences laughing, and it has. The show's been around for a little over a year. We've been producing it now, starting at the Hollywood Fringe Festival in 2021, where it won the award for Best Cabaret and Variety Show, as well as the Producers Encore Awards. From that, we gave the show legs, and are now bringing it to the South Bay, Long Beach, Orange County. And you come from Palm Springs to see the show, doggone it, it's worth it. It's a hoot, though. So we are excited to bring that on a regular basis to the community on top of our regular main stage productions. But that's not it. Again, as a result of COVID, we started a cabaret series that is working fantastically as a fundraising series for P3 Theater Company, in which we reach out to local professional singers who either enjoy doing cabaret performances or who have never done a cabaret-style show and would like to do a cabaret-style show. And we put all them together, and on a monthly basis, this is in Long Beach now at the Aurora Theater. What a quaint little 46-seat theater. I love being in that space. It's just, feels like someone's rich living room, kind of, if you will. It's very velvety and warm and inviting. But we gather different singers every month with a different themed cabaret show. It's called the Cozy Cabaret Series. It's because the theater is very cozy and it's a cabaret. So it's very original, isn't it? Very, very innovative. But we have done themes over the last year, a holiday-themed cabaret. We did a patriotic theme in July. We did a Disney-themed cabaret. We did one for Mother's Day that was all songs celebrating mothers. So that is on a monthly basis at the Aurora Theater in Long Beach. And it's great. We have a repeat offenders, audience members that come time and time again. We have at least 4 people that I think have been to every single cabaret that we've done. So once again, that's the Cozy Cabaret Series at the Aurora Theater in Long Beach. So if all of these productions are exciting to you, and even if they're not and you're interested or curious and want to check them all out, we have a special offer. It is called the Flex Subscription Offer, where you can, rather than buying one individual ticket to each show and paying 100% of the ticket fee, you can subscribe and purchase either a 3 or 4 show pass for a discounted rate. So that is definitely a way to see multiple productions at a discounted rate, and I highly encourage it because even if you're not totally sold on any of the productions, I guarantee you they are going to be worth your time. What a lot of theater audiences are not aware of is the fact that ticket sales don't cover all the expenses of a theater company. As a matter of fact, they cover less than half typically. Theaters rely on corporate sponsorships, individual donations, grants, fundraising events, that type of thing. And the segue with that statement is the fact that P3 Theater opened our doors 6 months before COVID in the fall of 2019. We were all set to have our first annual fundraising gala in the spring of 2020. Well, guess what happened? Yep. Nothing. Nothing happened in the world in May of 2020. So we are very excited about an upcoming fundraising, our very first upcoming fundraising gala. We have a date, we have a location, we are working out some other details that are very exciting. So I will say that on June 8th, 2023, at the main theater at the Hermosa Beach Community Center will be the location and date of our first annual fundraising gala. I do know there is an exciting show involved. There will be the opportunity for corporate and individual sponsorships for the event. We will be having a silent auction. It's going to be a night of wonderful theater, a lot of fun, and we are super, super excited for it. So stay tuned for more information as it unravels about June 8th, save the date, for our very first annual fundraising gala event. Theater companies like P3 Theater Company and other nonprofit regional and community theaters are vital to the communities in that they do bring arts and arts education to our communities. And we wouldn't be able to do that without the support of our patrons and our community in forms such as corporate sponsorships, private sponsorships, grants, individual donations. They're all very, very vital to organizations like P3 and other local community and professional nonprofit theaters. We would not be able to bring the work we do to the community without that support. So we are certainly appreciative of all of our patrons, all of our donors, and we look forward to a long, long life in the local community. Speaking of sponsorships, which of course we always welcome, I would love to give a big shout out to the Port of Long Beach, who has been supportive of not only P3 and certain productions, but they have been a very loyal sponsor of every iteration of Funny Bonz since we started at the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Organizations like that and individuals, like-minded individuals, philanthropists, if you will, are really the true angels of the regional nonprofit theater community. So here's the thing. Theater goers must attend our entire 2023 season for one big reason. It is a season like no other at any other theater company ever. We have an award-winning musical about Doris Day, which musicals or shows about Doris Day are few and far between. We have a world premiere of an amazing dramatic play. It's actually an award-winning world premiere because it won the Dale Shores Foundation playwriting competition. We have a blockbuster musical, A Chorus Line, and we have a sketch comedy musical review show. Now, you tell me one theater in the United States of America or anywhere else in the world that in 2023 has a season like that. Tell me. I dare you. See you at the theater. I am John Peterson, Executive Artistic Director and founder of P3 Theater Company. And if you want more information, or more importantly, to buy tickets for all of our 2023 upcoming productions, you are going to want to visit us at www.p3theater.biz. That's P3 THEATRE.biz, or call our box office at 714-689-8116. Get those tickets now, and we will see you at the theater.